Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being with us. We're going to begin the pre-meeting for the County Commission meeting this evening, and we're just going to review our agenda, and then in just a couple of minutes we'll start the official meeting. So let's just walk through the agenda and see if any of the commissioners have any questions. We will have a Pledge of Allegiance. We have Troop 15 with us to help lead us in the pledge today.
Need you mic a little closer to your mouth there, Brandon.
We will then take public comment. Any member of the public may comment at this time. Time limits are 3 minutes. We will then review and approve the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that people have questions about? All right, hearing none, we're going to move on. We've got a couple of proclamations. We've got a proclamation for Elder Abuse Awareness Day, Senior Champions, the 2017 Griffin Awards, and an update from the Energy Innovation Task Force. We have several public hearings this evening. Zoning ordinance text amendments. Debbie Trumpy will outline those. Land development and subdivision ordinance text amendments. Again, Debbie Trumpy will outline those proposals. Then we have the public hearing on the fiscal year 18 Buncombe County budget. And Dr. Wanda Green will review that for us. While we will not be voting on the 2018 budget at this meeting, we plan to vote on the 2018 budget at our County Commission meeting in 2 weeks from today. But we will have hearings on it, and we will take public comments specifically on the budget. So if you have any comments, we welcome that. The new business items on the agenda include a resolution establishing the method for interfund borrowing for solid waste capital expenditures, and Tim Flora will present that. A resolution regarding expansion of the use of Article 46 1/4% sales tax, and the county manager will explain the resolution. And the last new business item is a resolution to issue an RFP for a solar farm on the retired Buncombe County landfill. And John Creighton will speak to that. Then we have one planning board vacancy, and we'll need to decide how we want to handle that, whether to interviews or what process we want to follow for that. Do any county commissioners have any questions about the agenda? All right. Well, we have a full house here, so thank you all for being with us. And it is 5 o'clock, so we will go ahead and officially convene the County Commissioner meeting of June 6th, 2017, and I'd like to ask Max to begin the introduction. I'd like to call the June 6, 2017 meeting of the Buncombe County Commission to order. We will begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask the members of Troop 15 to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask all other members to please rise.
to the flag of the United States of liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you. And Scouts, we really appreciate you being with us. And if you wouldn't mind, we'd love to have you just introduce yourself and which you're from Troop 15. If you want to share your rank, that would be great. But if you just like to introduce yourself, that would be great at the podium.
Hey, my name's Ryan Domney, and I am an Eagle Scout.
My name's Karsten Path, and I'm a Star Scout.
My name is Jackson Alexander, and I'm a Scout.
Thank you. That's good. As we begin our meeting this evening, I'd like to ask for those who are with us to reflect on this day, June 6, 1944, 150,000 troops from the United States, Great Britain, and Canada landed on the beaches of France in the English Channel to end the occupation of Europe by the forces of Nazi Germany. More than 9,000 Allied soldiers were killed and wounded on D-Day, but through their sacrifices, the restoration of democracy and freedom to Western Europe was begun. President Franklin Roosevelt said, "They fight not for the lust of conquest, they fight to end conquest. They fight to liberate." Before we begin this meeting, let us have a moment of silence to remember and reflect on the sacrifices and accomplishments of the American and other Allied soldiers who served our country on this historic day. Thank you. I will now read the ethics reminder to the board. In accordance with the Code of Ethics adopted by this board, all county commissioners have a duty to obey all applicable laws regarding official actions, to uphold the integrity and independence of the office, to avoid impropriety in the exercise of official duties, to faithfully perform the duties of the office, and to conduct the affairs of the governing board in an open and transparent manner. Is there any item on the agenda, the outcome of which would have a direct, substantial, and readily identifiable financial impact for any board member? Also, does any board member have a financial interest in any public contract coming before the board today? I would like to disclose that we will be considering the issuance of an RFP for a solar farm on the retired Buncombe County landfill. I do work in the solar industry, but no company that I have a financial interest in will submit any proposal regarding that project. Hearing no others, all members of the board have a duty and obligation to vote on all matters that come before the board today. All right, we're now at public comment. The time limit for individuals to comment to the board is 3 minutes. If your time expires, you may leave any question along with your name, address, and phone number with the county manager. Board members are not expected to comment on any matters during public comment. This is your time to speak to us. The board reserves the right to deny public address on any subject previously presented to the board during the same meeting. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak to us today? I'll start with County Commissioner Carol Peterson. Great to see you. Thanks for being with us. Also, I meant to mention at the beginning of the meeting that County Commissioner Ellen Frost is out of town today, but she is participating in the meeting over a conference line. So she is listening to the deliberations, and she will vote on the matters that we vote on at meeting time. Commissioner Peterson, hello.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Commissioners, Wanda and John, and Kathy, and Tim, and Bob. Good to see you all. My name is Carol Peterson. Bruce and I live in the beautiful Cane Creek Valley in Fairview. My purpose here today is to thank County Manager Wanda Green for devoting more than 2 decades of her life to the care and well-being of the citizens of Buncombe County. She's been recognized locally, statewide, and nationally as an exemplary manager, as she has guided county commissioners, and I'm sure you're well aware of that, county commissioners, county staff, the education community, business leaders, community organizations, and all others who appeared at her door to provide county core services of education, public safety, and human services to Buncombe County citizens at the highest level possible. As you move across Buncombe County, you can see construction of new schools, libraries, a new court building, which is referred to as the judicial complex, community centers, a perpetual landfill, family justice center, public safety training center, the addition to the Health and Human Services building, community use parks, parking decks, the animal shelter, the life safety tower, and the renovation of the historic courthouse. To name a few, those are just the ones I thought of this morning. All of these things were a result of the organization and management of our county manager. These are things that you can see and will remain in the vision of the public for many, many years. However, there are some things that will not be visible to the general public. These are extremely important to the financial stability of our county. A AAA bond rating, low tax rate, job creation, and new business openings. Again, under the leadership of our county manager and dedicated staff, many of whom are here today. The final point I would like to make is this: relationships matter. And Dr. Green has built solid, enduring, trust-based relationships with people across not only our county, but across the region and the state. She listens, and she gives advice based on her years of county government experience. We, the 253,178 citizens, and probably more have moved in since we've been talking, in Buncombe County are fortunate to live in a place where our county government has been managed by Dr. Green, and we thank her.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, sir. And please state your name and where you live.
Hi, my name is Dave Hollister. I'm the co-founder of Sundance Power Systems and the Alliance for Energy Democracy. And our business, Sundance Power, resides in Weaverville in Buncombe County. And I also sit on the Energy Innovation Task Force and help conceive the idea along with Brownie and Julie and several other folks. And I want to express my gratitude for the county and the city for stepping up to the plate and having this conversation, because it's one of the most important conversations we could be having right now. You know, every generation has an opportunity, can see risks and rewards, and we happen to be living in a time of transition, and we need to have people that are having this vision and foresight. So I would like to really express my support for the recommendations of the Energy Innovation Task Force, and specifically there's, with regard to the renewable energy aspects of these recommendations, you know, right now the county and the city and all municipalities really have the ability of adopting renewable energy, and it's quite frankly one of the best long-term investments we can make for our communities, both from a financial standpoint as well as an environmental and social standpoint. And you know, this money is going to help really create what I call the structural DNA of the county to be able to adopt these systems and own these systems. The true value of these systems comes through the ownership of the system. When you have somebody else own the system, when you have other people sell you the power off of renewable energy systems, our community just does not benefit the way it does when our community invests directly in these systems and owns them. So I'd like to really urge you all to consider these allocations of resources and the recommendations from the EITF to really make this happen. We need to step forward. There are other communities in the country that have made these steps and are doing this right now. So this is not the bleeding edge. This is something that we know how to do it, and I urge you all to take that step to make it happen here in Buncombe County.
Thank you. Sure. And hey, I'd like to ask folks to not applaud or if you disagree with something, no booing, of course, either. We'll make an exception for the comments about Dr. Wanda Green, which I really appreciate and share, but let's not applaud after each speaker. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for taking the opportunity to hear from me. My name is Leanna Joyner. I've been a resident of Buncombe County since 2004. I do live in West Asheville. And like many of you, I bet if you took just a brief moment to think about a happy memory, they're probably, like me, something that occurred outdoors with people that you care about. As a board member of Connect Buncombe, I'm here tonight, first of all, to thank you for Buncombe County Commissioner's leadership in coordinating the efforts to support the Metropolitan Planning Organization and the Tourism Development Authority spending on the Woodfin Greenway and Blueway project. It's a pretty significant, audacious undertaking, in my opinion, and I'm pleased to see us moving in the right direction. I think that it really demonstrates that the vision and the momentum for Greenways is carrying forward. You've probably heard that Connect Buncombe held a really wonderful event a few Fridays ago on growing Greenway success. And among the takeaways from this are tangible benefits that Greenways offer a county like ours. Tourism to the Virginia Capitol Trail from Richmond to Williamsburg, Virginia had 550,000 visitors in just its first year. And east of here, the bike trail on the coast of North Carolina has a 9-to-1 annual return on investment. Pretty powerful stuff. But Greenways, and I look at all of our county residents here tonight, Greenways are more than another reason to bring tourists here. They're an investment in the people. So I guess I ask each of you to think, if you had the option to ride your bike or to walk to your work or to your place of destination, whether it's to get groceries or to visit a friend, would you take that option? Studies show that as long as people have the option, they prefer to bike or walk to work. And access to greenways is one way to be proactive about public health. Greenways and the access to public space is the great equalizer of all citizens because despite income, employment, race, sexual orientation, the country of origin of our residents, because despite or even whether or not they have a car, greenways connect us with our community in a way that naturally lowers blood pressure and relieves stress. When we think about parks, we often think of an isolated park, and it benefits residents closest to it, who don't necessarily have a vehicle. Others have to drive. But greenways are a way of stretching the edge of a park so that it helps everyone. Oh my gosh, it beeps.
Thank you very much. Your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, my name is Jessie Wilder, and I am here representing several East Asheville associations. Can I have a minute of leeway since I'm representing a lot of different organizations?
How many folks need to get through? Our policy is that 8 folks who are here need to give up their time to speak during public comment. So if there's 8 folks who would raise their hand, and again, just recognize you,
Who's
you won't be
here?
able to speak during this public comment. Okay, I see 8, so you have additional time.
Great, thank you. So I'm here this evening to speak first in a word of thanks. We want to thank the commission and the county staff for the opportunities that were presented to the East Asheville community over the winter to provide input for what they felt was needed and wanted in our new library and community space. People felt heard and were encouraged by the process. Secondly, we want to thank you and the city officials for working together and discussing what options are available should the library be built at the existing site owned by the city. With the loss of the community center to Leaf, East Asheville residents have had problems trusting that the city cared about the needs of the residents, and it was good to see that they were engaged in the process of discussing options for the new library. Besides expressing our gratitude, we are also here this afternoon to be reassured that before the fiscal year 18 budget is implemented, that the county is committed to going ahead with the planning and construction of a new East Asheville Library and Community Center, and that there will be funds allocated in the upcoming budget that would cover costs related to planning and design. We also want to share how important we feel it is for the county to have full responsibility for the new library if it remains at the current site. There have been problems related to maintenance on the outside of the building in the past, as the city has not seen the library to be a priority. We recognize that the handshake agreement between the city and the county that we've been operating under in the past has worked in some ways, but with this new undertaking, the residents feel that having one entity responsible for the new library will be beneficial to all involved. When I last spoke in front of this commission a year and a half ago, we requested 3 things. One was that the county and city start talking with each other regarding the current library space to determine if it was possible for our future library to remain in that location and what that would look like. And we feel like we are well on the way in that aspect of that request. Number 2, we ask that you make a commitment that our library would not be postponed again, and a location and design are worked on as soon as possible. From what we can tell, this looks to be on track, and we are back here today to be reassured that this is the case. And the third thing we requested is that a small task force be established with community representation that would serve to move the process forward and allow for better communication to and from East Asheville residents. While we truly appreciate the coordination of the community meetings about the library, we feel it's important to have a community member who's involved in the library planning efforts on an ongoing basis to make sure that East Asheville voices are represented. We also have one more request. As one of the busiest branches in the library system, we hope that if the new library is built on the existing site, that the library administration has a plan to deliver adequate library services to East Asheville during the construction of the new library. We figure it'll probably take at least a year to get that new library built. We know this will take some planning, and we'd like to share our ideas of how we could make that happen. So to summarize, we'd like to be reassured that there are funds allocated in the 2018 budget for planning and design process, that the plan is for construction to begin on the new library in fiscal year 2019, that the county will have full responsibility for the new building, and that a community representative is utilized to ensure good communication between the county staff and East Asheville residents. And lastly, that there is a plan to deliver library services in East Asheville during construction of the library. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to share our gratitude and our request. We really feel that this project has the potential to demonstrate how a partnership between the city and the county and community residents can build a library and community space that will meet the needs of our community for another 50 years. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to this gentleman over here.
Hello, my name is Ian Williams. I'm the site coordinator with ABCCM at their crisis ministry site in Holly Valley. I'm here on behalf of Reverend Scott Rogers and ABCCM, who is owned and supported by 282 churches in Buncombe County. These churches are estimated to have between 70 and 90,000 members, and who contribute 5,600 members, volunteers to serve their neighbors, the residents of Buncombe County. I'm here on behalf of Reverend Rogers, who regrets that he can't be here, but he's spending time with his granddaughter. He asked me to share the importance of our partnership with the county, which has lasted for over 30 years. We hope that as you do, that you look at our faith partnership and recognize that we are not a typical nonprofit, and in fact, the largest collaboration of the faith community in our county. As you decide to allot the funding that you're going to be talking about, we ask that you reconsider scaling back your partnership with ABCCM. We began this partnership and continue to do so through the Community Service Navigator program because we can provide services at a lower cost by engaging volunteers. We match the county funds with funds from churches, and residents don't just have an interview with a counselor to see if they're eligible for assistance and then be given money, but they have a conversation that often results in strategies that connect them with new resources. In April, ABCCM listened to over 1,700 household requests for services, provided over 2,000 bags of food, and over 6,000 articles of clothing, plus over $25,000 was given to prevent utility cutoffs, evictions, and other emergency assistance. The question is, what if it were your daughter and her husband with a 10-month-old son living in Candler, like the ones who came through our doors last week looking for food? Your funds meant that we were able to be open for 4 more hours that day so that she could come after work and not only get well-balanced and nutritious meals to help their family, but also the time to understand she was eligible for the WIC program, how to shop better, how to connect with other community resources and support. The same was true when a Vietnam vet who came seeking assistance with his electric bill. He was losing hours at work due to a very bad hernia. A trained volunteer gave the extra hours and time to overcome his fears, gain his trust, and connect him with the appropriate health care and veterans benefit services, which resulted in a much more financially and physically stable situation for him. When you're considering who the county is to partner with going forward, I want you to consider the young mother who recently finished nursing school, but spent every dime that she had traveling out of county to fulfill her clinical requirements. Her power had been disconnected. We were able to partner with other community organizations to have that power turned back on before her kids came back home from school. Please keep this faith partnership with ABCCM. The Sewananoa Valley Christian Ministry and others funded, because your funds are multiplied through volunteers who are caring for neighbors in need. Thank you.
Thanks very much. All right, Mr. Mumpower. Good to see you.
Good to be in a room with a bunch of engaged people. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Carl Mumpower. I live in Asheville. By some act of mischief, I'm now the chairman of the Buncombe County Republican Party, and I'm here on their behalf to support our 3 members on your commission. The Republican mission can be boiled down to basically 3 things. Be careful with other people's liberty, with other people's safety, and with other people's money. Tonight, you all are addressing the 3rd leg of that stool. In the midst of the longest and arguably most profound period of expansion, growth, and prosperity in our county's history, you're in control of a lot of money. That's a concern, as surely as it is a blessing. We all know that cycles have cycles. There's bust and there's boom. To the extent that Buncombe County residents are standing under a tree with $500 million of debt on it, that's something we need to pay attention to. You're here tonight to address what realistically is an opportunity to take advantage of the recent reevaluation of property and to secure a net tax increase, or to hold the line and not add additional burden to our citizens. We speak in favor of the latter. To the extent that there's been an unprecedented flow of jobs, shoppers, and new development in our county, we're blessed to have county coffers that have exceeded income projections by rather dramatic numbers. We believe that negates the necessity of a tax increase. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Republicans in our county and our other partners in good governance to support these three guys in doing what Republicans do, which is be careful with other people's money. And to tell you, we appreciate your efforts to hold the line on tax increases, and if necessary, resist voting for budgets that are extravagant and reaching into the pockets of average citizens who struggle to make it in our county. There are 45,000 Republicans that I represent tonight that appreciate your efforts to do that. And I'm here to tell you that we have your back. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Catherine Horton. I'm with the local nonprofit Community Roots. And I also represent the North Carolina Climate Solutions Coalition, which is a coalition of 29 nonprofits throughout the state that are working to get us all to 100% renewable energy by 2030. So I'd like to comment on the EITF proposals, which as Dave was speaking about earlier, I fully support with some wonderful ideas in there, and I celebrate the fact that we even have this task force. This really needs to happen in order for us to move forward with climate change. But what it doesn't do is address the elephant in the room, which is methane. So we have all these ideas about how we can save energy, how we can put some solar panels on some buildings, but we're not addressing the fact that we're about to shift our entire electricity production to natural gas, which is 90% methane. And methane, for those of you who don't know, is about 100 times more potent as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. So we're doing all this wonderful work to reduce our carbon imprint, which needs to happen. And we're moving away from coal, which obviously needs to happen. But we're replacing it with another source of energy that is going to accelerate climate change. So 2014, 15, and 16 were the hottest years on record globally. 2017 is turning out to be the same. People were expecting 2017 to be a little cooler because El Nino has shifted. That's not happening. It's accelerating. And so a chunk of the Antarctic ice sheet is about to dive into the sea. So if we continue working on all these ways to conserve energy and all the other things that are in the EITF proposal, it's going to help. But as long as all of our electricity is coming from gas-fired plants, we're not going to make a difference. This is not going to get us to where we need to be. And if the Mayor of Asheville is committing to 100% renewable by 2050, I saw that happen recently, that we're not going to get there if we've got fracked gas fueling all of our power sources. So methane doesn't come out of the chimney stacks. So when you see the power plant in Arden, you see smoke coming out of those chimney stacks. It's not going to come out of the chimney stacks. It gets vented along the way. So between the time it's taken out of the ground and the time it gets to the power plant, about 5.8% of that methane is emitted into the air, intentionally and accidentally. That's a huge amount of gas that's going up into our atmosphere. The other thing we need to know about methane is that it lasts for much shorter periods in the climate. So whereas carbon dioxide will hang out for decades, methane will only hang out for 15 years. But the next 15 years are what's crucial if we're going to turn this climate thing around. Clearly there's no leadership at the top that's going to stop that from happening, so I'm here to ask that we do it at a local level.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Linda Van Hoosen, I'm an Asheville resident. I'm here to speak to the Community Navigator pop-up program. My partner and I are volunteers at Manna Food Bank, and we also volunteer to drive the truck to deliver food to Piscaview Apartments. And we have had the opportunity to see the very desperate need these people have for food. And it's been very rewarding, and they are very appreciative of what we do. So we think it's important that these programs continue, not only for Pisgah, but for other community outreach programs. We look forward to maybe you finding in your budget some money for us to continue that program. Thank you.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, there will be on the general budget hearing, there will be a general budget hearing as well, so there'll be an opportunity to comment then as well. Yes, sir. On the left, yes.
Good evening. My name is Robert Simmons, and I am a Buncombe County navigator, now called Connectors, that this young lady just spoke about. And we have targeted low-wealth communities because one of the things that we identified was that there was a need for them to have access to healthy, nutritious food. A lot of the food that we deliver to them through a partnership with Manna Food Bank is fresh vegetables, fresh fruits. And I won't belabor the point. What I will do is give you some numbers real quick. Since 2013, we have delivered 663,822 pounds of food. The total cost for that food was $7,517, which is 1%. The money is paid by grants, $5,048. The money invested by the county is $2,206. The value of the food that was distributed was $1,108,000 that these residents in 11 different communities that we serve would have not had access to. So we do think that the program is important, and it does have value, and it does make a difference. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
My name is Tyler Garrison, distinguished commissioners, caring citizens, and first of all, thank everybody in here because every single person's in this room because we care. That's a big deal. That's a thing to be grateful for. A friend of mine told me once that the mind's like old underwear. Once it's stretched, it never goes back. And I hope in my 2 minutes, to stretch a couple minds if I have any luck at all. For those who care about the next generations, those that feel like we have a legacy as citizens to leave for our children, for those that are parents, you have to care about climate change. You have to care about global warming. This gets talked about as a partisan issue sometimes, or as a political issue. It is not. We are dying. I don't know any other way to say it than that. This is not down the road. This is not in the future. Talk to the farmers in the Pacific Northeast who currently can't fish farms, fish rivers that they fished generationally since time immemorial. Talk to the farmers that have had to leave generational lands because of unprecedented droughts. This exists right now. Or how about the 2/3 of the world's population that is in climate or in water deprivation as we speak? I care about my little girl. She's 3 years old. And I know y'all have an immense task with a lot of things on your plates, a lot of budgets and a lot of things. But we will look back, and our generations that follow will look back and ask, what did you do when you heard about climate change? What did you do? Did you not notice all the sciences? Did you not read the reports? Did you not understand that, when they say, the one thing that's not disagreed on is we're in the Holocene extinction. Does anybody know what that is? The Holocene extinction is the 6th mass extinction of this planet. There's been 5 others before now. The background rate for extinction, it is a naturally occurring phenomenon, is 1 to 5 species a year. We are 1,000 to 10,000 times that rate as we speak. This is not a debatable fact. The question is, what are we going to do about it? And as the young lady mentioned before about methane and these other options, I've talked to the cities like Palo Alto, where it is 40% cheaper. They're already 100% renewable. They did so 17 years ahead of schedule, and I asked them why. This is the CFO of Palo Alto. He said, because we couldn't afford not to. The contracts were so agreeable to our community, they now operate 40% cheaper than PG&E, I believe is what it is, in California. So, as a concerned citizen, I know y'all got a lot on your plate, but you don't have anything else that threatens our children's future like this. Nothing. Period. Please do something, because nobody else is able to. Thank y'all for representing us. Thank you for being here. Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you. Beth, that's it.
County Commissioners, Commissioner Newman, I'm Beth Maskell with the YWCA. I'm here with my colleague Amanda Reed. We're going to tag team in 3 minutes. I'm here to give you a brief update on our swim equity proposal that is before you, to let you know that we are working very diligently with Asheville Middle School to provide swim lessons to 200 sixth graders during PE classes to really address the disparity between swim lessons for particularly children of color. And we are proud to say that we have $22,000 secured. We have another $60,000 pending in grants that we will find out in September and in October. Our request for you for $20,000 is really important for us to launch this program this summer. This next, the beginning of the school year. And I wanted to let you know that brief update. We have several other proposals in front of you, but I want to turn it over to Amanda to share good news about our Mother Love program.
Hi, my name is Amanda Reed. I'm the Director of Women's Empowerment at the YWCA of Asheville. So I currently work within the Mother Love program. The Mother Love program supports pregnant and parenting teens in Buncombe County. As you may know or may not know, 74% of pregnant and parenting teens in North Carolina don't graduate high school. Within our program, we have a pretty high success rate. Right now, we have 13 seniors. 10 of our seniors will be graduating this June, and then 3 of our seniors will be graduating in August. So we're hoping to continue to celebrate and support and encourage our teen parents to make sure they know that they can graduate from high school and that secondary education isn't just an unattainable goal. It's a goal that they can reach and that it is integral for their families to succeed. So thank you so much for hearing us.
Thank you. All right. Yes, ma'am. You can, and then the person behind her. You can go after her.
Good evening, I'm Cheryl Wilson, and I'm the Executive Director at Swananoa Valley Christian Ministry. And we're here tonight to ask the commissioners to keep our community connector, which is formerly the Community Service Navigator. Patty Windish here is our Community Service Navigator, and she connects our clients with the other community agencies and resources that can provide assistance to help them meet their needs, beyond those that our ministry can do on our own. And she spends time with these clients, she gets to know these clients, and she helps them work through all that is happening in their lives by giving them hope. And Patty's going to tell you a few stories.
Good evening. As Cheryl said, I'm Patty Windish, Community Connector for Swananoa Valley Christian Ministry, and I'd like to share a few stories with you. A teenage client came into our ministry with his uncle who had agreed to take him in after his parents had thrown him out. He is still in high school and has many special needs. They did not know where to begin. I gave them lots of information about health care, disability, food stamps, Medicaid, as well as several resources that could help them with his disabilities. Later, my client and his uncle came back to the ministry to tell me how helpful all the information I had given them had been. They had been able to secure food stamps and Medicaid for him, and they've been working with the Buncombe County Department of Health and Human Services, who they describe as wonderful. They were so happy to have some of the worry and burden lifted. Another client was being harassed by her mortgage company over the appearance of her home and not of her payments, as they were taken directly out of her checking account. They were also trying to entice her to take out another loan. I advised her to contact Pisgah Legal Services, and in a few weeks I learned that the client had met with Pisgah Legal Services, who wrote to her mortgage company advising them to stop harassing her, which took care of her problem. I keep a jobs bulletin board in SVCM's lobby. A client noticed a job I had posted on the bulletin board for a business where he used to work. He was encouraged to call them back to see if he could return to work for them. He did so, they said yes, and he was able to obtain employment. I meet with many homeless people. One day, I met with a homeless lady who had a broken hip, and she'd had it for quite a while. She left the hospital prior to surgery because she said she could not pay for the surgery. We had a long meeting, and I gave her lots of information and strongly encouraged her to return to the hospital even though she has no insurance. I advised her that the hospital social services department would work with her to find her a place to stay to recover. I was also able to get her counseling at Black Mountain Counseling Center. Through an intake volunteers church, we were able to get her money to get her a duplicate driver's license and an Ingles gift card. We were also able to pay for her storage unit. This homeless woman was so appreciative of all the information and assistance she received. She said it was the most help anyone had ever given her.
Hello, my name is Jamie Frederick. I'm the president of Asheville. Thanks for this opportunity, and thanks to everyone who showed up and cares and is doing something to make our community a better place. I'm here in regards to, I saw on the agenda that the EITF is going to be giving some recommendations tonight. Is that correct? And looking over those recommendations, it just really struck me that they aren't enough to address the problem at hand. And I really want to encourage the county commissioners to choose to do more than those recommendations. As Dr. Houghton and Tyler mentioned, this is a problem with a huge scale. I mean, we're seeing the ocean levels rise, the temperature of the earth rise, and this is really a time when we as a community need to come together and do what's right for the future generations. And I consider if 30% of people did weatherize their homes and drove less and put solar panels on their houses and all that kind of thing, I mean, we would get a little bit better, right? But if we all band together to make huge change, to change the way that we do things, then I think that a lot more is possible. And so, what I would like to see is a commitment from the county to go 100% renewable, to say that we don't want to build more fossil fuel infrastructure, but instead we want to use our resources to build renewable infrastructure, and to take seriously the threat of climate change. So that's really all that I have to say.
Go right And who else wants to speak after this person? We'll go with you next, so you can be ready.
Hi, my name is Maggie Adams, and I'm here tonight representing the Buncombe County Community Centered Health Home, which you might have already recently read about the doula program in the Asheville Citizen Times. Just this week, our collaborative was granted a grant from Blue Cross Blue Shield on the notion that we're already going to be continuing to support initiatives that were happening on the ground in Buncombe County. If you didn't already know, black babies die at 3.1 times the rate that white babies die in Buncombe County, and this is what our grant is trying, or our initiative is trying to focus on. Many of our partner organizations are currently funded, and the grant that we just awarded is our, the grant that we were just awarded is based on the fact that we already are doing work in Buncombe County to address this disparity. For instance, the Mother Love program, the Getting Ahead program from the YWCA, the Community Service Navigators with the BIPA, Pisca Legal Services, Children First Communities and Schools, Nurse Family Partnership, all of these programs that are already doing the work need to continue to be supported. And if we don't continue to have that support from our own county, then we can't get support from additional funders to continue to help to support this initiative. So I urge you to continue to support these organizations and these initiatives that are already putting the work in. Thanks.
Good evening. I'm Diane Ledbetter with Green Opportunities. I kept waiting for our executive director to come in, but maybe I better go ahead and speak our piece. Our request for funding for the coming fiscal year comes with gratitude for the board. for your past years of supporting the Green Opportunities Kitchen Ready program, and as well with a focused effort by GO to further develop and secure our own social enterprise efforts as well as other funding efforts. I am pleased to report to you that in spite of a recent article that our documented records show that Kitchen Ready had 18 new students enrolled in the program for this year, for a total of 32 new participants at the end of the third quarter, which is 86% of our yearly projected goals. With the 13 new enrollees in this current training cycle, we will have 45 Kitchen Ready members for the current funding year, which is exceeds the goal by 21%. GO has met and exceeded our enrollment goals over the past 3 years. The success of this program and our graduates has been recognized in the by the Kitchen Ready Cabinet and featured in articles in Mountain Express and the Asheville Citizen-Times. The change in leadership with GO has brought about a renewed vision and energy by the organization, the board of directors and staff. Training programs have been restructured that focus on student and industry needs. Recent changes in development staff duties adds extra effort to develop local giving in addition to grant funding. These changes and renewed energy have added stability and growth in programming and community support, both financially and corporately. We have had many new requests for contracts with our Ready to Work GO staffing program, and this has led to this new program that has been added, the Ready to Work. The executive director has also added the vision of exploring flexible options to training that places GO students with other training programs, and we will continue to offer the case management services. You've seen our articles about our homework diner participation. Kitchen Ready participates by providing the food to these middle school programs for the extra effort to get that homework done and support the parents. Thank you so much again for your support, and we look forward to continued work with you.
Thank you. This young man, and then you can be next. Okay, great.
Hi, how's it going? My name is James Smith. I'm a student at UNC Asheville, and I'm here representing UNCA Divest. I work on a divestment campaign there, as well as the Sierra Club and a few other organizations around Asheville who are concerned about climate change. I don't have like a written speech, but I just want to try to convey this sense of urgency that I feel as a young citizen who is the future of the planet. And, I've seen people come up here and talk about what are we going to do for the future, but I am the future. These decisions are going to directly impact my vitality as a human being. And, it makes me question whether I can morally bring new humans into this planet considering the state that we are putting it in. So while the proposal from the Energy Innovation Task Force is necessary and should be reviewed, I think, we need to assess as a community what are our values and what do we, really gain from remaining in the fossil fuel game. It's a fact that it's a dying industry. It's just a question of, is it too late, So I just want to convey both the moral side of this argument that climate change is clearly killing people and it's going to get worse, but also the economic promise that the renewable energy industry has right now. And this is an early opportunity for our city to set ourselves ahead financially, as well as kind of take a public stance and declare our values for the future. So,
thank you.
Good evening. I'm Gail Solomon Canty. I live in Weaverville, North Carolina, and I'm here today both as a concerned environmentalist and a proud member of the Western North Carolina Sierra Club. You are here as public servants, and I thank you so much for your service. And as part of that, you are here at the right time because you can make a difference. And I'm asking you to consider fully funding the recommendations made by the Energy Innovation Task Force. This is a time where the rubber meets the road. If people do a lot of work and make some good suggestions, they'll do no good if they're not funded and enabled to be put into action. So I'm asking you to please fund them fully. Granted, I agree with what the other speakers have said about climate change. I do agree that we can't ignore it. But concrete suggestions that will make a difference should be considered and funded. Thank you very much.
Let's do these folks here over here on the left, Ms. Baldwin, and then the person next to you, you can go next.
I'm Lisa Baldwin, a former school board member for the Reynolds District. I want to encourage you today to challenge the school board to be innovative in their budget. They haven't been held accountable before, and you all have been so kind to give them everything they've asked for. You do care about our children, but we need to hold them accountable. And you see before you in your materials a decline in Buncombe County school enrollment of 1,268 students since 2014. Many parents are taking advantage of North Carolina's school choice program, enrolling their children in public charter schools, and lower income families are applying for the North Carolina Opportunity Scholarship to send them to private schools that may meet their children's needs better. 10% of Buncombe students are homeschooled. What is the school board doing to attract and retain students, effectively competing with these charters, homeschools, and private schools? Yes, we do have the standalone STEM high school, but this accommodates only 5% of our high school population. What about the other 95%? And what about the other 40 schools, not the STEM high school, but the other 40 traditional public schools where the status quo remains? And what you see before you is a status quo school budget. A special sales tax instituted in the 80s brings in over $14 million just for school construction each year. How smart can we be with these construction dollars? You can ask for flexibility from the legislature to spend these on teaching and learning. You can also go to the local government commission and the state treasurer's office and ask for flexibility. There are many ways to be flexible with education dollars. Why not consider STEM middle schools using that construction money to fund science labs that are state-of-the-art and technological advances? Why not K through 8 international baccalaureate schools? Academic rigor will attract parents. For example, Cane Creek Middle School boasts the largest number of AIG students. These gifted students are not receiving educational opportunities that challenge them. Boredom and discipline problems have resulted from the lack of rigor. Why should students have to wait until high school to take honors in AP or IB classes? So I hope you will consider how the dollars are allotted, and that money can be focused on the classroom for teaching and learning and for challenging our students so Buncombe County could be #1 in the state or even the country for their innovative types of education models. Also, I want to mention the fact that you've got so much money coming in right now from sales tax revenues from the Asheville outlets. You revalued our homes. There are so many ways that you can utilize these extra funds, and one of them is putting money back in our pockets so we can use that money to stimulate the economy and make choices for ourselves. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you all tonight. My name is April Burgess Johnson. I'm the Executive Director for HelpMate. We're the organization that provides services to survivors of domestic violence here in Buncombe County. And I just want to start by saying how deeply grateful we are for this Commission's continued support of families here in this county. I'm proud to live here where I know that families are encouraged to be safe and healthy and are well supported by their community. The Centers for Disease Control tells us that 1 out of every 3 women and 1 out of every 10 men will experience domestic violence at some point in their lifetimes. That means that right now, at this moment, there's more than 30,000 people living right here in Buncombe County in a home with somebody who once promised to love, protect, and care for them, and instead has used their trust to abuse, control, and manipulate them. We owe it to the citizens of our county to make sure that if this type of abuse strikes in their home, they're able to reach out and quickly and effectively get the help that they need. For almost 40 years, HelpMate has provided services to survivors in this community. Last year alone, we served over 2,500 victims, and this year, we're on track to serve almost 3,000. Those services are broad and wide-ranging, ranging from an emergency hotline where somebody can call us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to get the support that they need, to emergency shelter that we provide to the highest vulnerability survivors in our community. We don't prioritize our shelter the way that some other community shelters do, which is a first-come, first-served basis, which is appropriate in many situations. We prioritize our shelter by taking in the families that are most likely to die if we don't serve them. We use a lethality index to help us make those decisions. We're incredibly grateful for the support that this community has shown of the Family Justice Center, and the single biggest impact HelpMate has seen of that Family Justice Center is a doubling of the requests for emergency shelter. And your important funding helps us maintain that vital service to the community. It also helps us continue to support the core services of Buncombe County by working with law enforcement to ensure that the public is safe, and we interact with them from the scene of a crime. They're putting survivors on the phone with HelpMate's hotline so that we can offer them support immediately. That's how we went, ranking from 2nd in North Carolina for the number of domestic violence-related homicides in 2013 to having none the following year, and an 80% reduction since then. We're doing good work here, and we have to keep that up. And we owe it to our children to do that. We owe it to our children to make sure that they're getting messages about healthy relationships everywhere that they go, including in their schools and their homes. And we owe it to those children who are involved with the Department of Social Services to make sure that they have trauma-informed responses as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right, yes, ma'am, and then Judy, and then you. Yep, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ellen Brown. I'm a resident of Woodfin, a member of the Sierra Club, and I've recently become a published author about the New York Adirondacks, the early preservation movement. I do not have much firsthand experience with local politics or government, but I've seen enough of our national politics in recent months to be feeling alarmed and anxious, especially about all the agencies that are being gutted and the laws being reversed, especially concerning our environment. With that in mind, I wish to express my hearty support for the work being done by the Energy Innovation Task Force, and hope that you will provide them the funds that they are requesting. It makes good sense to me that we should look for ways to support renewable energy systems in public buildings and schools. It also seems vitally important that we help those trying to survive on limited incomes, including seniors like me, and help them weatherize their homes. And having worked as director for several nonprofit organizations, if it is possible to help them improve their energy efficiency, I'm in favor of that too. Thanks for giving us this opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Judy Maddox from Leicester, and my little scooter and myself want to say hello to all of you. I am chair of our local Sierra Club of Western North Carolina. We have over 6,000 members and supporters, and we want to say thank you, and oh my gosh, are we in a special situation? I mean, how many other locales have their city, their county, and their power system working together with the community to create Energy Innovation Task Force and recommendations. So we support 100% all of the recommendations, and we ask you to please fund it this year and years in future. We feel like this is doable and practical and happening, and it is a wonderful first step. Thank you very much.
I'm Ken Brame from Leicester, and I would like to, first of all, thank all of the members of the commission for the steps you took earlier this year to replace light bulbs in schools and to make investments to save the taxpayers' money. Thank you for doing that. You've got another opportunity by fully funding the Energy Innovation Task Force to do another really great thing, not just for the environment, but for the citizens of this county. It makes a lot more sense to me as a ratepayer to make an investment of $560,000 this year to prevent a $100 billion investment that's going to be paid for by us as ratepayers. If they build that peaking unit, we as taxpayers and ratepayers are going to pay that bill. We can avoid that. And to me, that's just a smart decision for you as stewards and leaders of this county. Secondly, we've got jobs at stake. If we start weatherizing low-income housing, we can put people to work. If we start doing the things we need to do to reduce expenses for the nonprofits you support, ultimately you'll end up saving taxpayers' dollars because they'll be more efficient, spend less money on energy and more on delivering services and not have to continue to ask for more money. So it makes sense economically as well as doing the right thing for the environment. So again, I ask you to please consider full funding of the Energy Innovation Task Force recommendations and do it because it's the right decision for us as citizens of this county.
And then you can be next. And then you third. Okay. Here.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Williams. I live in Asheville, and I would like to tell you a couple of things. I'm on the board of Friends of Connect Buncombe, and I'm also a Greenway planner and designer, and I work regionally as a consultant. One thing that I am seeing regionally in the Southeast is that communities are using greenways as economic incentive for businesses to come in. Knoxville, Chattanooga, and other communities are really recruiting businesses to locate on their greenways, like we've done with New Belgium. This is not just about putting in a recreation path. It's about economic development. It's about recruiting young people like me who want to live in walkable communities. One thing we hear from all the people we do thousands of individual outreach a year for greenways is, where are the greenways? Why don't we have more greenways? Well, the good news is the county is really up in the game in supporting greenways. So I really applaud you on the budget you have for slotted, hopefully for greenways, and we ask that in the future, as construction projects go forward, that you even elevate that because it will be a significant more cost. And I just, again, thank you for your support of greenways.
All right, yes, sir, in the back. Okay, and then you had your hand up as well? Yeah, you can, why don't you go, and then you can go next, and then I'll.
I don't know how you guys keep up with all these public comments. I really don't. My name's Carter Webb. I live within 1,000 feet of the proposed Overlook Road development. I'm also the president of the Oak Forest Property Owners Association in Oak Forest, and it was built in the 60s. On June 14th, the Board of Adjustment is scheduled to meet and vote on the conditional use permit for the 25 acres of property, the proposal to build about 230 apartments and 30 townhomes. It's near the intersection of West Ridge and Overlook. I actually live on West Ridge. As the president of Oak Forest, the residents of Oak Forest have expressed concerns about some of the following with this new development that's out of character for the area. Obviously, the issues with traffic on Overlook Road. Overlook's pretty busy. It's a 2-lane road that goes in between Hendersonville Road and Long Shoals. increase with traffic on West Ridge and in our neighborhood of Oak Forest is a huge concern. And then safety on Overlook Road. A lot of people who have come up tonight have talked about greenways and climate change. Lack of walkability is an issue around there. And we don't feel like it's the best use for the property considering the area it surrounds. It's residential area, you have Biltmore Park, you have, it backs up to the Ramble and Oak Forest. So what I'm here for is to kind of put it on your radar. The meeting is next Tuesday. I believe that's right, June 14th, with the Board of Adjustment. My understanding is the Board of Adjustment votes yes or no whether this project goes forward or not. We're going to try to get together in this short period of time because we haven't had much notice at all on this. So what I'm here to do is to ask you to request a delay in the Board of Adjustment's ruling, or at least encourage the Board of Adjustment to view the premises, so to view the area of the proposed development before arriving at its decision pursuant to the section 78-677E of the zoning ordinance of Buncombe County. So, thank you for listening. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, sir. And can I just see hands on? And can you keep your hand up if your comments are about something that is budget related, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you raise your hand if you have a comment about something that's not budget related? Okay. Before you begin, sir, just if I'd like to take a moment with the commission. We could just continue and take all these comments now. I think another option is we could move on and take additional comments because we're going to have a public hearing on the budget, right? So would the commissioners like to just continue with all the comments now that are budget? I think we should definitely handle all the non-budget related comments now because folks may not have another chance. But would you guys like to just kind of do all this now or take additional comments during? I mean, we'll have to take additional comments during the public hearing, but would you like to defer additional budget-related comments until that time?
I'm okay taking them now, and if that way if people want to leave, they can leave. Their comments. They don't have to stay for the whole meeting.
All right, that sounds just fine. Just want to check in.
I agree.
All right, very good. Please proceed.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Jeff Wallace. I'm a resident of Ridgecrest. I'm not here about a line item in the budget. I'm here about a zoning issue. You may have read in the newspaper and heard about the activities going on Florida and Dixon Avenue, Florida Avenue and Dixon Drive in Ridgecrest, the site of the former Madison's Inn. In December, New Day Holdings was issued a conditional use permit that myself and my neighbors feel has been violated. We believe that it was the intended use of the property was misrepresented, and that the conditions have become sort of a moving target. One of our concerns are that the zoning board and permits office is looking at this property as an individual piece of property when in fact 6 lots and 2 houses have been bought in this block that is about 8 houses long. The intentions of this property is supposedly to house a ministry internship. That was not on the agenda when the conditional use permit was applied for. What we have seen is destruction of our neighborhood. Both these lots, every single tree has been cut down. It's a mud pit. The contractor has disrupted sewer lines and water lines. 3 days with water interruptions, long periods of time, hours. We are concerned about the destruction of the road. Florida Avenue was paved by the state, or repaved by the state in February. Is now potholed with gravel and road bond. We are concerned about the stress on our water and sewer infrastructure. To my knowledge, no application has been made to house that. The bottom line is that apparently this organization, New Day Holdings, wants to put in about 75 young ministry interns into our neighborhood in a one-block area. This is dead-end streets. And we are concerned about the character of the ownership of New Day Holdings. The fellow that was involved in the Seven Falls financial scandal that put banks under in this area. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. All right, I believe you're next. And then we'll take you next. Okay.
McNair Ezard from All Souls Counseling Center. All Souls Counseling Center is a partner with Buncombe County to help meet the demand for mental health counseling for the uninsured and underinsured members of our community, the working and non-working poor. Since the year 2000, the Counseling Center has provided individual counseling services to over 15,000 people, resulting in improved health and helping to prevent overutilization of more costly community services such as emergency rooms and jails by people with unmet mental health needs. Fees are based on a sliding scale, but no one is ever turned away for inability to pay, and our therapists donate 70% of the care. The Counseling Center is a place of last resort for many people where care is easily accessed through one phone call, and clients often remark in self-reporting surveys that All Souls quite literally save their lives. Other behavioral health organizations serve people with Medicaid, Medicare, or other health insurance, but the Counseling Center is there for the people without the financial resources to access those organizations. One projection is that over 38,000 people in Buncombe County alone will be uninsured in 2017. This doesn't take into account the number of people who may have insurance but whose co-pays and deductibles are so high that accessing mental health counseling through their insurance is still out of reach. These are the people that All Souls Counseling Center seeks to help. Key informants of the 2015 Community Health Assessment ranked mental health as one of the leading health issues facing Buncombe County, with half of the respondents reporting that mental health care was the most difficult to access. And two of the county's health priorities are intimate partner violence and substance abuse prevention. As a safety net provider and due to support from Buncombe County, All Souls provides mental health counseling to victims of crime, domestic violence, and others. We also serve as a referral source for agencies working with people with substance abuse issues who have made their way into recovery. And All Souls also anticipates a collaboration with the county with regards to people seen through the Justice Resource Center and HHS services to provide mental health counseling. We will also continue our partnership with such organizations like Green Opportunities and Goodwill to provide counseling to people going through the workforce development programs. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the Board of Commissioners and to ask for the county's continued support to help meet the need for mental health care in Buncombe County and to bridge the gap in services to our underserved residents.
Thank you. All right, you're next, and then, and I'm sorry, are you speaking?
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, come on, and then you can follow me. Okay. And we'll come over here. We'll come over here in a second.
Good evening, Board of Commissioners of Buncombe County. My name is Shannon Reese, and I live in the neighborhood of Oak Forest in South Asheville. And I'm here tonight to speak to you about the proposed apartment complex that is slated to be heard before the Board of Adjustment next Wednesday, June 14th at noon. We have several concerns as residents of our neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhoods. I'm registering my opposition here tonight, hoping to bring attention to these issues so that they may be addressed prior to this meeting. Overlook Road is all residential, and safety is a main concern of this road. There are no sidewalks. I pulled Asheville police data today for the previous year on Overlook Road, which is 1.2 miles in length. There were 23 traffic accidents. On Mills Gap Road, during that same time period, which is 5.2 miles in length, there were 12. So you can do the math. There are twice as many accidents on a much shorter road, and Mills Gap is as heavily traveled as Overlook Road is. So That is obviously a concern, given the fact that there are no sidewalks, no place for people to walk, no way to get to the library, the schools. And with the concentration on greenways, as Carter brought up, this is a concern for us. And I would also like to address the obvious impact that this will have on my neighborhood directly. The proposal wants to align the entrance to the apartment complex with West Ridge Road. What that will allow is 400 plus, and this is a conservative estimate based on 271 units, to allow 400 plus cars per day to use our neighborhood as a cut through with children and with residents trying to go about their lives. So this is a definite safety issue for us. And we walk, we ride our bikes. That is part of what we enjoy about Oak Forest. And there are no sidewalks in Oak Forest either, as it was built in the 1960s. Additionally, we have had zero opportunity to voice our opinions about this project. It just came to our attention because of the Board of Adjustment meeting signs that were posted on Friday of last week. This is a major concern to all of us because this will directly impact our quality of life, our property values, and our safety. As well as, let's not forget, the impact on our schools. And given the K through 3 classroom size mandates that are due to come online next school year, and this is a law, this is not a suggestion. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Yes. No, I'm sorry. I'll get to you. I meant the lady in the back. But, you gotta be more aggressive back there. You're just gonna get in there. So, okay.
Chairman Newman, Commissioners, thank you so much for the opportunity to address the board tonight regarding the mammoth task that you have before you approving a countywide budget. I am Paula Dinga. I'm an Arden resident, a veteran educator, and the president of the Buncombe County Association of Educators. First, it's important for us to reiterate our deep appreciation on behalf of the 3,500 teachers and staff of our Buncombe County Public Schools and for the 2016 board's commitment to increase our local salary supplements. I've heard each of you speak in support of our amazing public schools, their students and staff, and the inspiring work that they're doing each and every day. Teaching is a calling that demands much, and the rewards are not usually expected to be financial. In fact, our salaries have been hovering in the lower 10 states of our country for quite a while. Our professionals, though, must earn a professional salary in order to attract the best and the brightest to our classrooms and to compete with neighboring counties and with private industries. Across the state, excellent teachers are leaving their classrooms due to a lack of respect and financial security. With one vote, you have addressed both of these important priorities to keeping our schools staffed with the finest educators that North Carolina has to offer. Your support of the second year of this 2-year phase-in of our salary supplements is a vote of confidence in the highly qualified professionals who will work in concert to create a strong workforce for Buncombe County and a strong future for us all. Thank you again for keeping our beloved schools and our precious children at the top of your priority list, and I encourage you all to confirm your vote for the second half of the 2-year commitment made to our educators last year. Thank you very much.
Hello, and thank you for your time. My name is Amy Nasta, and I live 52 feet from the former Madison Inn in Ridgecrest. I'm here to help save my neighborhood and to express my concerns of misrepresentation of the cut permit that was issued in December of last year. I'm here because I'm concerned about the character of my neighborhood. I'm here because I'm concerned about the impact of this business that is going to be 52 feet from my house. I'm concerned about the impact of the number of people that are going to be in my neighborhood and how that will affect our housing value and our daily life. On the cut permit, I quote, "This was suggested to be a rooming house to accommodate affordable housing for ministry interns." This was a former bed and breakfast that had 10 rooms and 18 bathrooms. Currently, it now has 2 rooms, dormitory style, with 13 bathrooms. According to the Black Mountain News, the director, whose name is David Friedrich, who resides in Holland, who is the director and will see the day-to-day operations from Holland, He said this will be an in-your-face discipleship for millennials aged 18 to 25. This will be a one-year experience. They are charging these students to come here, and they are going to do work because they, according to the contractor, Thomas Wright, said that these children have no work ethic and they're going to be there to work. What it is now, as opposed to the 10-room bed and breakfast, it's going to be dormitory sleeping for 30 to 40 singles. There will be a lounge, a cafe. There will be a school, a fitness center. This will be a hub for not only the singles that will reside there, but also for the couples, the staff, and the visiting educators, which will be visiting the neighborhood in the 8 houses that they, or the 6 houses that they now own, the 6 spots. There's also going to be a school and a church. There's been lack of transparency, and again, I live 52 feet from this, and no one has ever come over and said hello. No one has introduced themselves to me, and no one has explained what's going on. I have many of my neighbors that are here. We're concerned. We're left guessing with what's happening. Our delicate sewer system, I'm concerned about 75 people washing their clothes and cooking and bathing and toileting in our delicate sewer system. They talk again in the permit about the generous buffer that's there. Again, they have cut down every single tree. The only buffer that is there is my 6-foot fence. Without that fence, there is 0 buffer. They say on their permit that there will be less noise, less vibration, and less traffic. They have added a parking lot behind my house to accommodate 30 additional cars. I don't know how this will produce less traffic, less noise, and less vibration. They state that this will have a positive effect on our neighborhood. I talk to my neighbors every night when I walk. No one knows what's going on. This is not positive for any of my neighbors, especially me. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, coming up, and then Pastor Hardaway, and you can go next. I'm sorry, I meant this other young lady, but we will get to you, sorry.
Hi, my name is Susanna Park, and I live here in Asheville, and I was born here in Asheville, and I love Asheville. And who here likes swimming? Tubing, climbing our mountains? That's not all y'all, what's wrong? Come on, hands in the air. Really? You guys don't want to do it? Hey, who lives in Asheville loves living here? All right, come on here, all right. So there's a beautiful bunch of work that's been done to think about energy in our town, and so that gets a full thank you, and it's just not enough. And so yes, please, for proposals, yes, fabulous, and thank you for all that good attention and energy task force thinking that has already occurred. And there's a lot more we can do, and it's just gonna have to look very creative and spontaneous, and this town is good at that. That's really a creative, energetic, wild, playful place to live and be, and so our energy could reflect some new thinking and some fresh approaches. And for all of y'all who've been sitting for a really long time, what happens is we all get stagnant. So anyone who wants to stretch, who hasn't been stretching, like stand up and wiggle, like we all start getting really, and then making a change in any way, shape, or form feels more challenging. So it's important to me to think about not being numb, about trying to do different things, and that you're all being very good in not wiggling. But that's really what it takes to change the system, is a lot of new wiggling and a lot of new stretching and a lot of new growing in places that we hadn't maybe thought we could or knew what that was going to look like. So who knows what it's going to look like in a hunk of years. A bunch of folks that are here won't be around to see it. And a bunch of us that are younger, we may not be around to see it either. And that's on us. We gotta figure that out. Living in Asheville is important to me. I'm a singer. I was born here, raised in traditional music. And for those of us that are steeped in that old music style of this part of the country, it's so much of it's about the land. So I'll leave you with this tiny bit of a song that says, take me back to the place where I first saw the light. To my sweet sunny south, take me home, where the mockingbirds sing me to sleep every night. Oh, why was I tempted to roam?
Go ahead and Pastor Hardaway, you're on deck, okay? Great.
Thank you, commissioners. I promise I won't take very long. I always have a few notes. I want to invite someone up to be with me. My name is Joanna Greer McEachin. I am a resident of the historic Shiloh community and the executive director for the Asheville Buncombe Institute of Parity Achievement, also known as ABIPA. So I would like to thank council for your investment in ABIPA over the years. 13 years ago, our founder, Dr. Charles Blair, utilized Parity Action Team members as volunteers. Now, because of your funding, we're able to employ former clients and volunteers as community service connectors that are also community health workers. Your investment over the year 2017 of $125,000 resulted in 6,320 people being served, which is a great return on investment, only $19.77 per person. But each of those people have a story. So we're happy that Ms. Anika Williams is here to share her story with you.
Good night. I'm not a public speaker, but I moved here 5 years ago, leaving a very toxic relationship. And ABIPA was one of the first places that I hooked up with. They put me to so many resources through health. They got me hooked up through mammograms because I didn't have health insurance. Free summer day camps for my kid, employment, helping me figure out employment, getting me back into school. I'm now going to school on all scholarships, BIPA like helping me find scholarships. And the recent thing was in December, they hooked me up from 2 years ago with self-help. They said, go there, try to get your credit together. And 2 years ago, in December, I was able to be a first-time buyer. So without these funds, I don't know how many people they really serve. She just said, and I don't know how many people come through it, but I can say what happened to me, and I would be lost without ABIPA's funds. Like, it was a great thing for me and my 2 girls, so I actually keep their funded and even increase it if anything.
Thank you.
I've got an idea for that.
I'm not going to sing. I'm Pastor Hardaway. I'm Pastor Rock Hill Missionary Baptist Church, also the voice of Project Lighten Up, the Community Summer Day Camp. First of all, I'd like to say thank you all for your support for the Community Summer Day Camp and After School program. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to do what we're able to do. We're the only camp that blends education and recreation into its daily programs. So we try to shorten the achievement gap by preventing summer learning loss. There's a lot of building going on in Asheville, outside of Asheville, in the county, outside of the county. There are some communities who are, such as East End, Burton Street, Shiloh Community Center, programs like ABIPA, Project Lighten Up, are looking to build people. And we want our communities and our students and our people to enjoy the parkways, the greenways, to be involved in climate control, to be concerned about the issues in our community. And so those programs and those communities are looking to build people. So when it comes times for the budget, think more favorably towards those programs, and those communities are looking to build people, not just build buildings. Buildings are important, but people inhabit buildings. Don't hold the line that may keep us in the same place. Have the faith to reach higher, to reach ahead. And as you reach ahead, it'll pull us higher. Thank you all. Greatly appreciate your support, greatly appreciate your funding. Be balanced. I know it's a difficult and trying task, but be balanced as you approach. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Amy, hang on, this young lady is next, and then we'll go from here.
Hello, how are y'all doing up there? Good. How many of you are hungry? Could use a snack? So my children and my coworkers tell me that when I'm hungry, I get hangry. Yeah? Have anyone experienced this? I'm here tonight. I'm the Agency Relations Manager at Vanna Food Bank. My name is Katie German, and I'm here to speak in support of the Community Service Navigator program. They do so much more than food, but I'm here to talk about the value of their food work. Mr. Simmons talked to you about the monetary value, but food insecurity is a social determinant of health. It's like housing and transportation and legal protection. Those are all things that impact people's health in a negative way if they don't have what they need. What's interesting about food insecurity is that we can solve that. In Buncombe County in particular, we have so much of what we need already going. And the investment that you've put in the community service navigators has made a difference. So nationally, we know that people in poverty make spending trade-offs to stretch their money, and trading off nutritious food in order to pay the rent, in order to pay medical bills, in order to get where they need to go, that's a common thing. And it really impacts their ability to manage chronic disease like obesity, high blood pressure. We're talking about community health here. So when I say we already have what we need, we have what we need because of the navigators, because of Swannanoa Valley Christian Ministry, because of all of our partners who engage volunteers to do this work. It takes private citizens, it takes the faith community, and it takes our government investing and working together to solve this. We have everything we need. The citizens of your county that elected you are already invested in this. Please continue your funding for food insecurity work in Buncombe County. Thank you.
Commission, I would like to make a suggestion. Under our good news section, we have 8 senior champions with us, and I'd like to suggest we go ahead and move to that item. Wendy Marsh with the Council of Aging is with us to introduce this item, so I'd like to suggest we go ahead and handle this, and let's go back and we'll resume public comments after that.
Chairman, just a question. Do you need to close public comment, let her speak, then open it back? That's not? No, it's not. Okay. Answer my question.
All right. We'll resume public comment in just a moment, but we want to go. We have 8 senior champions who we want to recognize this evening, and they've been very patient with us. And I'd like to just go ahead and handle this part of the meeting.
I think we only have 3 left, I think. But anyways, I appreciate that move. That's very helpful. It's getting a bit wonderful to hear all the advocacy and everything from everyone, but I know these folks need to get on the road, so thank you so much. I'm pleased to present to you our 2nd annual group of senior champions. These folks were nominated by community members and chosen by a panel of sponsors. We had about 25 nominees and 8 were chosen. These individuals were recognized on May 2nd at the Deerfield Episcopal Retirement Community. They've spent their lives giving to others, maintaining the sanctity of the Appalachian Trail and other wild places, feeding the hungry and the homeless, leading the way in education, uplifting the underserved and marginalized, inspiring and mentoring students, establishing child care services, paving the way for women as educators, and facilitating groundbreaking community development initiatives garnering national recognition. Dr. Mel Skiles just had to leave. He's a retired diagnostic radiologist and an avid hiker.
Oh, you're here.
It's been so long, I forgot. Yes, we lost our veteran. Okay. Dr. Skiles is a retired diagnostic radiologist, and he completed the Appalachian Trail, over 2,200 miles in 2011 to celebrate his retirement. He currently gives 10 to 20 hours each week as an active trail maintainer volunteer for hiking trails in western North Carolina. And in 2016, he participated in the 100-mile challenge as a mentor for 2 teenage boys as they completed the Appalachian Trail. He's a community volunteer with Habitat for Humanity, Man of Food Bank, and an active grandfather. And he enjoys shooting hoops at the basketball goal. He donated to the Deerfield community where he currently lives. I'd like to introduce Roy Harris. He's a retired engineer. He keeps busy through volunteering at numerous community organizations, including Green Opportunities, who you've heard about tonight, and who did a fantastic job catering the breakfast of senior champions at a much lower cost and a much better quality of food than we had last year. So, wonderful group. Yeah, I heard. Got some advocates here, and they're good. He is also volunteers with Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church, the Southside Garden, and the YMI Cultural Center. He's a mentor at Eddington Center and a master storyteller with Asheville Storytelling Circle. He was featured in the publication Word, Honoring Black History. He dedicates his time, and I love this, to uplifting underserved and marginalized communities through his volunteer work. Roy Harris. Becky Anderson, you might know her. She's the founding director of Buncombe County Child Development, establishing the first federal daycare program for Buncombe County, the former director of economic development for the city of Asheville, and former director of economic development for the Asheville Area Chamber of Commerce. Becky is nationally known for her work as the founding director of Handmade in America, which became the cultural heritage model for national heritage areas and a model of 16 programs in other states. The U.S. News and World Report named Becky one of the top 20 visionaries in the United States in 2000, and this year Becky is one of 12 women from around the country to receive the 2017 National Women's History Project Award. Fantastic people. We have more people 60 and older in Buncombe County than 17 and under. So we lead the state in that. So if you're one of them, raise your hand. All right. We have power, and you're here tonight expressing your views and listening, and that's just one more gift that those folks bring to our community is activity and action on the part of things they care about. I would just like to name the rest of the folks who were chosen. Dr. Robert Urop, he had to leave. He is a retired lieutenant colonel of the 5th Special Forces Airborne. He was commissioned to serve in Vietnam with the Green Berets and received 6 Bronze Stars for Valor. He has then completed his doctorate in industrial engineering and joined UNC Asheville as a professor. He's a recipient of several teaching awards and served as primary research advisor for undergraduate research students and mentored over 70 research students. He served on numerous boards, including the International Journal of Industrial Engineering, and he and his wife are strong supporters of UNC Asheville and established 3 endowed scholarships at the university. So we had a couple other folks couldn't be here. You may remember Dr. Julia Capps. Kenny Capps was going to be here on her behalf. She's no longer able to get out, but she's a former educator and school administrator for Buncombe County at Lee Edwards High, Asheville City Schools. She dedicated her life to educating others and helped shape the education system in Buncombe County, both as a teacher and as the former assistant superintendent of Buncombe County Schools. She's a former board member at Mountain Area Child Care in Alverner and was an active choir member at Black Mountain Presbyterian Church, and she sold me my house when we moved to Asheville. Other champions were Louise Jones from Black Mountain, described as a mother to the motherless and a friend to the friendless. She's a retired state employee, and her nomination said that Louise taught us to give and forgive, to laugh, love, and always learn from each life experience. She's 87 years old, and I went to visit her house, and she's still climbing mountains. I swear to you, climbing mountains like this and weeding them. So I'm sorry she couldn't be here, but she is an amazing woman. Janet Letter has given hundreds of hours over 12 years as a volunteer at the Senior Opportunity Center in Asheville. She's a massage therapist, and she helps people feel better at the center and other locations where she volunteers. And Julie Banton is a volunteer for Project Night Night, knitting blankets and collecting books and small stuffed animals that are placed in a bag for children living in homeless shelters. She also knits scarves and hats and delivers them to homeless shelters. She believes that we all need to know that someone cares. Thank you so much for allowing me to present these people and tell you about them. It's an honor to have been at the Council on Aging and getting to know these people. So thank you for your time.
Wendy, thank you very much for presenting this, and congratulations to all of the senior champions. It's very well deserved, and the County Commission has a gift we would like to present for each of you. Thank you. Oops, sorry about that. You're very welcome. And there is yes, sir. Yes. Sure. Yeah, thank you. And while we're on the good news proclamations, Commissioner Jasmine Beach-Ferrara will also present, and I think Christina Stenhouse with the county's HHS is with us as well, for the proclamation of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And let's go ahead and do that as well.
Good evening.
be reading aloud the proclamation of Vulnerable Adults and Elder Abuse Awareness Month. Whereas Buncombe County's vulnerable and elder adults deserve to live safely and with dignity. Whereas vulnerable and elder adults of all socioeconomic, racial, and ethnic backgrounds may be targets of abuse, neglect, or exploitation which occurs in families, long-term care facilities, and communities. Whereas 1,871 reports of abuse, neglect, or exploitation of vulnerable and elder adults were made to Buncombe County Health and Human Services in 2016, with 1,101 screened in for evaluation. Whereas many cases of elder abuse and mistreatment go unreported and professionals are often unaware of the problem. Whereas protecting Buncombe County's vulnerable and elder adults is a community responsibility, and it is imperative that communities work together to help reduce and prevent abuse, neglect, and exploitation, including physical, psychological, or financial abuse. And whereas all residents should watch for signs of abuse such as physical trauma, withdrawal, depression, anxiety, fear of family members, friends, or caregivers, and report suspected abuse or exploitation to the County Health and Human Services Office. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of Commissioners for the County of Buncombe as follows. That this board does hereby proclaim June 2017 as Vulnerable Adults and Elder Abuse Awareness Month in Buncombe County. That this board does hereby encourage all citizens to participate in community efforts to support and improve the safety and well-being of vulnerable and elder adults and secure their right to live free of abuse, neglect, and exploitation. And that this proclamation be effective upon its adoption, adopted the 6th day of June 2017 by the Buncombe County Board of Commissioners, with our appreciation for the work that you and your colleagues and so many others do in our community to help ensure that everyone is safe. Thank you.
I'm going to keep this short because I know you all have been sitting here a really long time. I do have some of our staff here tonight, and I did want them to just stand up. I won't make you guys come up here, but I did want them to stand up. Some of our very most vulnerable citizens that we don't always think about are kept safe. So I'm really grateful to them. They are a very dedicated group of people. Another thing that was in the proclamation, it is up to our whole community to keep folks safe. And we can't do it alone. We have an amazing group of community partners that really help us. We have an amazing amount of support from our county leadership, which we are eternally grateful for on a daily basis. So thank you so much for all that you do for us. It makes a huge difference. My last thing is a plug. Next Thursday is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. We are sponsoring the first annual World Elder Abuse Awareness Walk. It will be at Carrier Park. It starts at 5:30. Our sheriff, who's here, is our speaker to start the things off, to start the event off, and we're very excited about that. The actual walk will not start until about 6:30, but there'll be events up until then. Food trucks, live music, family-friendly event, a shred truck, so if you want to get rid of all your documents that you don't need anymore, free shredding. The Sheriff's Department will be collecting all of your old prescription drugs that are no longer any good and disposing of them properly. A lot of these are things that seniors actually deal with, their identities getting stolen, their drugs getting stolen because they don't have a proper way to dispose of them. So we're really trying to get that message out there. It's really an awareness event. It's free. Please come, family friendly. We really hope to see everyone there. Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to go back to our public comment section, and I'll begin with you, and then the gentleman at the end of the.
I'm Beverly Kirkland, and I am a resident of Ridgecrest, and I have lived there. My husband and I moved there 9 years ago. He took a job in the area, and I'm a public school teacher. Can I allow someone to go before me while my notes come up.
That's fine. Sir, would you like to go?
Good evening. My name is Justin McCleary. I appreciate you all allowing me to speak today. I'm a resident in South Asheville. Been a resident of Asheville for 12 years. I'm here with other individuals to kind of speak our concerns about the proposal for the apartment complex in South Asheville off Overlook Road. Not every road in Asheville has a reputation, but unfortunately this one does, and it's a poor one for many reasons. We've heard some facts already presented to us today by two other individuals. What I really want to outlay to you guys is a response so far from the community that we've seen. So the developer out of Greensboro filed for this application 2 months ago. Notification was placed on Overlook Road small sign on Friday. Immediately, for the hearing, it's going to be next Wednesday. So the public has not had enough time to absorb this and understand the impact it's going to be on the community. When that notice went out on Friday, an email thread immediately started to hit the streets, and a petition went out. Just so you understand the concerns that the community has, within that short period of time, there's over almost 400 signatures on this petition right now. And we're asking for a delay in this, a motion for a traffic study, and I think just history speaks for itself, especially when it comes to Overlook Road, that this needs to be done. Also, on Sunday night, we reached out to WLOS and asked them to do a piece on it. They did a piece, and not that Facebook is the best place to get information, but the public response has been there as well. There's about 300 comments from the post from WLOS with concern about this proposal on Overlook Road for this apartment complex. Thank you.
All right, ready?
I'm sorry. Thank you for our service to our community. My greatest concern in regard to our Ridgecrest community is that in the midst of our quiet county residential neighborhood, we in fact do have old church lodges that might be considered too large for non-single family use. My plea to the commissioners is that you carefully consider and hold those accountable that you allow into our neighborhood. A neighborhood where kids ride their bikes, senior citizens walk their dogs, neighbors visit on the side of the road, friends come for cookouts, where my 11 and counting grandchildren come to romp, build forts, and hike. We welcome responsible organizations like First Inc. that helps men and women get back on their feet as they battle addictions. We welcome those who are honest and forthcoming with their intentions, whose mission and presence is safe and friendly to the many families like mine, and who keep, quite frankly, a low profile. We welcome those who go through proper channels to establish themselves next door, who do not tax an already fragile infrastructure. I and my neighbors beg you to hold these entities responsible when they come to ask for permits in our neighborhood. They have devastated a lovely area where the historic Madison Inn has been, and it is breathtakingly sorrowful to watch such a beautiful area be degraded. Thank you for your time.
All right, yes, ma'am. And then Amy, you'll be second after that. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Chairman Newman, Commissioners, County staff. My name is Jackie Kiger, and I'm a managing attorney with Fiscal Legal Services and also a resident of East Asheville. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here this evening on behalf of our work. Fiscal Legal is the legal aid safety net program for helping low-income families and children meet their most basic needs, such as stable housing, safety from abuse and assault, healthcare, and financial stability here in Buncombe County. We do this through free legal representation and advocacy on system-wide issues that address and combat poverty. We are grateful for Buncombe County's generous support and funding for fiscal legal services, and we respectfully request that this funding be sustained in fiscal year 2018. In 2016, fiscal legal served over 15,000 people, and of that, nearly 9,000 were Buncombe County residents, and of those 9,000, 3,000 were children. Roughly 2/3 of our work at Pisgah Legal falls into the categories of increasing protection for survivors of abuse, intimate partner violence, sexual assault, and child abuse, and preventing and avoiding homelessness. We partner with different community partners in many ways, including being a part of the Community Health Improvement Process Advisory, partnering with the Community-Centered Health Home with MAHAC, being a partner at the Buncombe County Family Justice Center, and a member of the Asheville Homeless Coalition. Most of our clients live at or below 125% of the poverty level and cannot afford an attorney on their own. The average household income for our clients is $11,000 a year. We offer free legal assistance to help avoid a crisis, right a wrong, uphold a legal right, and provide an opportunity to fight poverty and injustice. There is no right to an attorney through the civil legal process. And if you are low income, this can be very challenging. However, having an attorney can make a real difference, as it did for Nisa and her children, some of our clients. They were given 30 minutes notice to leave when their house was condemned. When they asked their landlord what to do, he offered them space at another one of his rental properties. This one that had serious problems with leaks, mold, and electrical hazards. When they asked for repairs, they were answered with an eviction notice. Pisgah Legal got involved. We stopped the unlawful eviction. We were able to secure financial assistance to get them moved out of that property and into a safe, stable housing. We also kept their kids from facing yet another crisis of being removed from the house quickly and without any warning. Unfortunately, we receive calls like this every day, and we see cases like this every day. Your generous support helps us to continue to meet this need in the community and do this good work. We are deeply grateful. We thank you for your support in all that you do.
Good evening, Chairman Newman and members of the board. Thank you. My name is Amy Churchill. I'm a member of the Buncombe County School Board. Just wanted to take a moment to offer my sincere appreciation for your thoughtful leadership with what I know is sometimes a very thankless job and a difficult job, deciding how to make the best use of limited resources to impact the community in the most positive way to ensure that Buncombe County is future ready. One of those ways is through our public education system. I have had the privilege to work with most of you, and I'll get to the new ones soon, on many projects that have been a success for our students, such as technology, Western North Carolina's first STEM-themed high school, Global Education Initiative, Graduation Initiative, and the list is too numerous to mention in this short amount of time, unless you want to give me a few more minutes. Most recently, you recognize that in order to recruit and retain the best of the best, we needed to assist our certified staff and instructional assistants with the ever-increasing cost of living in this beautiful county and compete with surrounding counties by committing to a much-needed increase in salary supplement. I am grateful that you are a board that honors its commitments, and I thank you for that. On a final note, I'd like to just also invite the community and those that are sitting here in the room tonight to come and visit any one of our classrooms where status quo doesn't reside there, but innovation does. Every day, our teachers are thinking outside the box, and they are producing excellent students who are going to be excellent leaders in our community. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Just one other, Commissioner, I have one suggestion, just in light of how long the public comment is going, which, by the way, I just want to say we totally welcome this. This is one of our ears, so I'm not saying this at all to discourage it. I know we all really appreciate it. But I just did want to have one other suggestion. I don't think anyone had any questions about the consent agenda. So if we could have a motion to just approve the consent agenda. I know there's a number of staff and others in the room that basically waiting for us to get to that.
So moved. Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to resume public comment. Yes, sir. And then Robin, you next.
Hi, my name's Jim Boyer. I'm a Buncombe County resident, and I'm here tonight to support my friends that are in the Ridgecrest neighborhood. There's been a lot said already. I'm going to keep my comments very brief. What was not yet pointed out was the entire neighborhood out there is zoned R1, with the one exception of the former Madison Inn property, which is zoned R2. And that was the basis on which they were able to obtain the conditional use permit that they got in December. And construction on that project began in January, although they didn't have any permits until April. And that was because of the concern of the neighbors and calling Matt Stone at the building department. So I'm just concerned for my friends due to the apparent flagrant disregard of this developer and this contractor, and for their disregard of the county review and permitting process, and the negative impact these activities are having on this particular neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. And then, I'm sorry, Robin, you come, and then you'll be next, okay? Sorry about that.
Thank you, Chairman Newman and Commissioners. My name is Robin Merrill, and I'm the other managing attorney of Pisgah Legal Services. And I want to start by saying thank you on behalf of our Executive Director, Jim Barrett. He is on a well-deserved extended vacation with his family in Europe. Jackie did a great job telling you what we do, but I want to talk about it from a little different perspective. I'm going to tell you about my day today. It started out with me talking to an 86-year-old African-American woman in Buncombe County who had been conned by a telemarketer and had given him her debit card number. Thankfully, they had only gotten $20 out of her account before she got it corrected. Thank God. But it prompted us to have a nice long conversation about how you respond to those sorts of scenarios and why you never give your debit card number out. I then talked to a woman in Buncombe County who was a victim of domestic violence and who, in addition to needing protection, she needed help getting her truck back from her abuser so she could go to work. And what she said was, I've never been through this before. I don't know what to do. So we're helping her with what she needs to do. I had a meeting with my attorneys who work on our domestic violence team today to talk about their cases. And here's an example. Here are some of the people we are actually helping this week in court. A woman who was threatened over at the drum circle with, I'm going to bad word kill you. A girl who has been re-traumatized by her grandparents who want her to communicate with the mother who's in prison who sexually abused her. And a woman who was drug out of the shower and beaten in front of her children while naked. So they're the ones we're serving right now. One of my favorite things about my job are the partnerships that we have. And I like coming to these meetings because I get to see all of our partners and say hello to them. And I'm particularly excited, though, about some of the partnerships that we've had with you recently. Working with Ms. Stone on the expungement project, with Mr. Creighton on a zoning ordinance. And I've gotten to talk to some of you individually about work I've been doing with Jerry Behan, and I'm going to get around to the rest of you soon, so because I'm particularly excited about that work. And we look forward to partnering with you more, and I'm here to pledge to you that we have some funds for community economic development, and we want to work with the Isaac Coleman grant recipients on small business creation and nonprofit creation, and we can do that for them. But I have a little bit of bad news. We have found out that we may lose around $550,000 in funding from two major sources who are creating their budgets right now, and their budgets don't include us. We have laid off one staff person. We may need to lay off more. We simply can't afford to lose our funding from you. Thank you for all that you've done, and please continue to work with us.
Thank you. Yes, sir. And then we'll come to you next.
Thank you, Commissioners, for this forum to allow us to express our opinions and our thoughts on certain issues. My name is Brian Chapman, and I am a resident of Oak Forest in South Asheville, and I won't go through a lot of the comments that have already been made, but I'm here to support those three individuals that have spoken earlier about the new proposed apartment complex being or proposed for on Overlook Road. And it's been said over and over that Overlook Road is a dangerous road. We all know that. Curvy, hilly, and right where it's supposed to, the entrance is supposed to come in is right in the blind curve at the peak of the hill. As a resident of Oak Forest, I enjoy my 5, 10, and 12-year-old children and my wife walking the neighborhood. Elderly folks, seniors out walking their dogs and enjoying the exercise in the neighborhood as well. I'm really afraid that that's going to be in jeopardy with this new proposed development and with our apartment complex and our development being used as a cut-through. I've been here a resident for 10 years by way of Charlotte, born and raised in Kannapolis, North Carolina. And I've seen the growth in Charlotte. In years, the mantra was, we don't want to become another Atlanta. Well, they became another Atlanta because they didn't have the infrastructure in place to handle it. I'm all about growth. It needs to be pragmatic, it needs to be responsible, and it needs to be prudent. I don't believe that this apartment complex is in that nature. I would ask and request you guys, the commissioners, to be able to influence the Board of Adjustment to postpone a meeting and at least have some type of town hall where we can sit and talk with the developer and learn about the ideas that he's wanting to do, how it could maybe be a fit. But at this point in time, I don't think that it is a very good idea. Appreciate your time.
And then, in the back, yeah. Good evening, Chairman Newman, commissioners, and staff. My name is Mike Marcus, Assistant Director at the Center for Craft, Creativity, and Design. CCCD was born out of Handmade in America 21 years ago and served as an interinstitutional research center under the UNC system until 4 years ago when we emerged as a standalone nonprofit organization. As you may recall, CCCD submitted a community grant request for your consideration to provide the remaining funds necessary for the art space affordable housing feasibility assessment. These funds would close the $28,325 funding gap that currently exists for the second phase of the project, known as the Arts Market Survey. Other projects include the City of Asheville, the Community Foundation of Western North Carolina, Ted and Terry Van Dyne, and the Duke Energy Foundation. This is a community-based initiative with widespread support from artists, arts organizations, and civic leaders. ArtSpace is the national nonprofit leader in developing affordable spaces for artists and creative sector businesses. ArtSpace recently submitted a preliminary draft that emphasized the unique assets that we have in our community and the level of risk that they are at, given the rising property values here. It's important to note that this is not only an arts-based project, but an economic development project that prioritizes affordable housing, livability, social equity, and workforce development. Multi-tenant, multi-use creative spaces generate economic revitalization and development. Every artist is in essence a cottage industry, and arts facility projects are catalysts for private and public investment. We have brought forward an opportunity to bring a nationally recognized nonprofit developer to the region for a minimal and well-leveraged investment. This is a project-based request that serves the entire community, and we would be honored to welcome the county's support and investment. Thank you for your time. I just in the back. You'll be next, and then sir, could you go after her? All right.
Hi, my name is Nicole Townsend. I don't know most of you sitting up there. Who am I? I'm a Black woman and I'm a community organizer. I had no intentions on speaking this afternoon, so please forgive me if I fumble upon my words. I'm a part of a group called 1 Million for the People, and I'm working with them to get the city of Asheville to reallocate the proposed $1 million for the Asheville Police Department. I want to take a moment and read 2 quotes. The first one being from James Baldwin, and it says, "I don't know what most white people in this country feel, but I can only conclude what they feel from the state of their institutions." I'm going to read another quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and it says, "One has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws." If you do not agree with that, and if you are not willing to disobey unjust laws, please don't show up at another prayer breakfast. Police departments in the South began as slave patrol. Therefore, police institutions have been founded upon white supremacy, which means they are inherently perpetuating white supremacist culture. $1.2 million for the Sheriff's Department will not protect, nor will it serve. It will only continue to ignore the roots of our problem, which include but are not limited to urban renewal, gentrification, the lack of reparations, poverty, and capitalism. Families will continue to be torn apart due to immoral citizenship laws, and once again, black and brown bodied humans will once again be reminded that our officials lack the humanity to dismantle the systems and structures that keep us oppressed. Thank you.
And then you next.
Thank you for your time tonight, especially given so many worthwhile causes and agencies and nonprofits, and I really appreciate. I understand the allocation process is arduous at best. My name is Jeff Sodoli. I'm the Executive Director at the Mountain Child Advocacy Center. Some of you know us as the main nonprofit in town that directly addresses all the child sexual and physical abuse as well as neglect cases in the county. In Buncombe County last year, 2016, we had just under 5,000 cases that were screened in that for child abuse and neglect. If you look at that over a span of a year, that's about 14 cases per day for 365 days a year. It's obviously a significant issue, and we want to thank you for the years of support, both when we were the Child Abuse Prevention Center and as we have moved forward into becoming an accredited Child Advocacy Center. So we provide multiple services, intervention, prevention, and responding to child abuse, but probably the one I want to talk tonight about just real briefly is our prevention program. We work with K through 5 children throughout the county, and in fact we just finished up for this school year and we were able to reach just over 9,500 children with our Recognize and Respond personal safety class to try to help children understand how to protect themselves. We're the only agency in town that provides any type of child abuse prevention, especially in K through 5. And why do I want to talk about prevention is, as many of you know, you're aware of the ACEs study and other CDC studies that have talked about the impact that trauma and abuse and neglect have over the course of a lifetime. We know now that for individuals that have been victimized, roughly it's about a $200,000 cost over the course of a lifetime, how it impacts education, the justice system, the human services field, how it impacts the individual to have a job, for their medical expenses, for their mental health expenses. So I really, again, thank you for your support and us in being able to take an upstream approach to child abuse. We can sit downstream and wait till they become adults and try to address it then, or we can try to prevent it earlier on. The cost of our program per kid is about $4 per kid. And the overall cost of our prevention program, again, looking at a $200,000 per victim. If we can prevent one victim in Buncombe County, we'll pay for that program 4 times over. So I really hope you continue to partner and support us as we try to continue to reduce this, obviously, impact on one of our most vulnerable populations. So thank you again and appreciate your time tonight.
Thanks very much. And who else? All right, sir, you next, and then who else do we have still? All right, and then Jerry will come to you third. We'll get everybody. Okay.
Hello, my name is Michael Collins, and I'm an organizer with $1 Million for the People, the campaign that Nicole told you a little bit about before. We are a pro-community safety movement that advocates for investment in our local people and not police. Our goal is to directly address the worst of our society ills, racism, poverty, and violence. We need our local and county governments to invest in sanctuary and safety, not detention centers and handcuffs. I hear a lot of people coming up to this podium asking for money and support. A lot of nonprofits, folks who work in shelters, folks working for a necessary move to 100% renewable energy. And I don't hear anyone coming up here asking to put more people in jail and to perpetuate a false and detrimental drug war on black and brown bodies in Buncombe County. The money that Sheriff Van Duncan is asking for could be used to fully fund something like the Isaac Coleman grants, all of the applicants for the Isaac Coleman grants. So tonight, just want to come up here and encourage you to invest in our people and not more police. Thank you.
All right. You're next. Yep. And then Jerry, you'll be next.
Hi, my name is Dewana Little. I know some of you up there. I'm coming to speak about a proposal that I submitted to Buncombe County. My proposal is called Positive Influences. And the reason I want to speak to my proposal is because a lot of things that has been spoken about, all these proposals that has been presented to y'all and presented tonight, have a lot to do with what we're trying to do as grassroots organizers within our community. We do support the 1 million for the people. We do a lot of things, and our youth also support. They did a lot of surveying with that to petition the city. But our youth are struggling. There is a real issue with our youth. Y'all have seen the state of Black Asheville when Dr. Mullins presented it to you a few months back for the Isaac Coleman Initiative. We are really dealing with issues within our community. We are on the ground within these communities. We live in these communities, especially the marginalized communities of the city and county. And we are working closely with these youth. I would like y'all to really consider, I know this is our first time applying into the county, so I know it's more likely to fund programs that y'all already done funded before because y'all had a chance to see their success, but I would like to ask y'all to give us an opportunity to show you what that funding can do for our community. And for the youth within our community that's battling the issues that's within the school system as well as within their community. They are dealing with multiple levels of trauma and stress and social pressures that unless you're living through it, you really can't understand or relate to. And we are really working hard to work with these kids. And for all of the programs that's in the Positive Influence proposal, we fund it out of our own pocket, and we work. So half of our income is going towards supporting these kids. And we would like to ask the county to support them as well. The deficit's not going to change unless we do something to really influence that change. And that's why I titled it Positive Influences, because that's what we're doing. It's really trying to change that for our youth and show them that it is hope outside of what their community show them that they can do, that they can be more. And that's what we are all working towards, is showing these kids that they can be more, because at the end of the day, they are our future. So I ask y'all to please seriously consider our proposal.
Mr. Rice. All right, who would like to go after that? Sheriff Duncan, and then Danielle. And
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jerry Rice from Canada. I love being from Canada. That's them low down people out there, you know.
Easy, Jerry.
Old rednecks, you know. You know, like a joke. Just kidding, Joe. I'd like to say that I really appreciate Wanda Green. I've been here for a lot longer than she has. We've weathered some storms. We've had some hard times. I've seen her at her best, and I've seen her at her lowest. And I think that I speak from the heart how much I do appreciate her. and her education, her experience, and her leadership. And the only thing that I really can say, there's an old song that comes to my mind. She picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille. 500 children and a crop in the field. Now that you know, you need to laugh a little bit. Here's the big picture. I won't take nothing away from Wanda Green for what she's been to this county. And the thing that comes to my mind is she's going to be pointed at, she's going to be talked about, she's going to be said everything about something. But it ain't about Wanda Green. It's about the leadership that's sitting right there, you 7 board members. They've been board members before you, and they're going to be board members after. Wanda Green, the attorney, the tax assessor, the clerk, they serve at the pleasure of this board. If they need to be gone, they'd be gone in 30 days, I believe, when you tell them to go. So if you've got any gripes and complaints about Wanda Green, you better look at yourself first. Because it ain't about Wanda, it's about the leadership that we have here, before and after. So don't blame the county manager. She's doing what you are giving her opportunity to do. And if you don't like it, tell her to leave. I think she picked a good time to leave myself. So I'll help you with the crop in the field, you know, because it's going to go on. The crop in the field is the thing that we deal with every day of our life while we serve here in our community. So thank you, Wanda, for your help.
Sheriff Duncan, and then Mr. Yelton next.
I don't think I ever shook my head as much when Jerry was talking before. Wanda, we are going to miss you, and we appreciate you for all you've done for this county. Mr. Collins' group sometimes comes to the city council and presents, and a lot of times they present without any counter argument. And what I would like to say to you, commissioners, is when I look around this room, I see a lot of folks that your sheriff's office partners with out in the community, and a lot of folks that would vouch for what we do, and as far as the character of the men and women that work for it. I think when you look at what happens when you disconnect police from community or law enforcement from community, the true victims are the people who live in those communities. And please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. Hold us accountable. We should be. We're given quite a bit of power and authority and quite a bit of your budget. And you should hold us accountable for the outcomes and what goes on. But what I would say, in an impassioned way, if you ever listen to kids who are debriefed that live in those communities after shootings occur, you do not want to disengage your police and your law enforcement from your underserved communities. They need us more than anybody. And I look forward, moving forward with the community partners in the room and making those conditions better and making sure that folks are safe and taken care of when they go in to deliver all the services that the county brings. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Yelton, and then who would like to go after that? Pam, why don't we go to you, and then who else? All right.
Lord of mercy. I feel like a mosquito in a nudist colony. So many places to go and not enough time to get there to cover them all. I'm a lifetime resident of Buncombe County, except the 5 years I went off to get a bachelor's degree in biology and a master's degree in environmental system engineering. And you've heard a lot of bull tonight, okay? I've seen this happen every year. Everybody lines up at the public trough, wanting their money. Well, I understand I sent you all an email, but nobody got it. Something happened to the email. And the email basically said this. I read in the paper where they were blaming Wanda Green And Wanda and I didn't start out too friendly at all. Matter of fact, I sued her. You remember that, Wanda? And I used to sit in her office with my legs stretched out across the door reading her mail. Remember that? So, you know, she's seen me at my worst. And in that email I said, I read in the paper that Wanda Green is blamed for buying $6.8 million in land. That's not true, folks. That land was owned by the city of Asheville. It was given in an exchange from Hendersonville to Asheville to build a wastewater treatment plant, but somebody didn't want that crap shooting out in the French Broad River next to that big fine Biltmore house, so they decided to do away with it, and that's why it had to be bought. Now, the other thing, they said something about salary. It's the salaries, you know, she'd get free salaries. Well, I remember a little phrase called South Carolina. I bet you do too, Hal. In a memorandum of agreement between you and Duke Power that nobody caught. And my message in that email was exactly what Jerry said. You can't blame Wanda for the $500,000 debt, because she didn't put that debt there. She figured out how to pay for that stuff, but that debt was put there by the county commissioners. And guess what? You new folks have no excuse anymore for not asking any question you want to ask. Whoever you get as interim, county manager, or whoever you hire, please ask the questions. Don't look at that agenda and don't know what's going on it. That's why I'm sitting here right now to ask some questions a little bit later on. Because I'm going to tell you something, folks. What you said on that rate this year is on your shoulders, not Wanda's. I suggest that you think about us, because you know when? You can solve all these problems everybody's got, as long as you take everybody else's money.
All right, thank you. Pam Myers.
It's for real. I'm Pam Myers. I'm director of the Asheville Art Museum, and I'm here to ask for your support for the creation of the new Asheville Art Museum, which is currently under construction in a major way. After 10 years through the recession and involving many, many supporters, we are building the anchoring cultural organization for Buncombe County and for the future of our community. The team working on the project is overwhelmingly local. The architects, contractors, subcontractors are up there now every day. I invite anyone and all of you who haven't yet had a chance to tour with me to join me in seeing the amazing job they are doing on a very complex inner city project. This extraordinary $24 million project will preserve and protect our community's historical and cultural heritage, educate our students, and inspire residents, artists, and visitors to Buncombe County. The county was an early supporter and remains essential to the project's success. Support now will also be matched dollar for dollar through a challenge grant we are working to complete, which was given to the project in support of the museum's excellent operations by a national foundation. Thank you for your support of the project then, and now, and in the future. I'd also like to just take 1 second to ask you to continue to support the Pack Square Cultural Partnership as well. That supports the operations of the Dan Ortham Theater and the Asheville Art Museum. County support of the operations of these vital organizations has for 25 plus years made it possible for them to deliver otherwise unavailable cultural and educational opportunities to Buncombe County residents and students. Thank you for all the work that you do.
Next item on our agenda is...
Chairman, I'd like to suggest a 10-minute break.
All right, let's try to make it less than that. Let's make it as quick. We've got a lot of other material to cover. There's a lot of things waiting for us. Let's just take a break and reconvene in a couple minutes. Okay. All right, we're gonna I'm going to call this meeting back to order. And the next item on our agenda is the presentation of the 2017 Griffin Awards for Historic Preservation. And Jack Thompson, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for being patient. Thanks for the soft chairs. Thank you, Chairman Newman, County Commissioners. My name is Jack Thompson, and I'm the Executive Director of the Preservation Society of Asheville and Buncombe County. Honored to come to you tonight to let you know that May is Preservation Month, and on May 25th we had our Griffin Awards program over at the historic Masonic Temple in downtown Asheville. And we are honored to inform Buncombe County that y'all have won an award for your stewardship for number 205 College Street, also known as the Smith and Carrier Building. This is where your Register of Deeds is housed, sandwiched right between a relatively new construction for the Court Center, an elegant building for a new one, and a modernist construction on the other side. A little bit of history. In 1920, Albert Heath Carrier decided that his architecture business was going well enough that he should purchase an investment property in downtown Asheville. For the previous 15 years, Carrier had teamed up with Richard Sharp Smith, one of Asheville's most prolific and influential architects. Smith and Carrier were at the height of their careers when they decided to build a new office for themselves at 205 College Street. Now let's fast forward to 1994. The county chose to purchase this historically significant building in the heart of the historic district of downtown Asheville. And over the past 23 years, the county has made significant repairs and breathed new life into the Carrier building, while the environments around it changed dramatically. The Buncombe County Register of Deeds is now the careful steward of this historic place, and its history is celebrated in photography throughout the building. The Preservation Society is honored to award Buncombe County a Griffin Award for Historic Preservation for the good stewardship of the Smith and Carrier office buildings. Briefly, I have two more awards that I want to talk to you about because they fall under y'all's umbrella, a little bit of overlap here. Out in Sandy Mush, the Farm Heritage Trail was created in 2016 as a collaborative effort between Sandy Mush resident and farmer Terry Wells and Ariel Ziff of the Buncombe County Soil and Conservation District. The purpose of the Farm Trail commemorates preservation of agricultural land and lifeways. It creates public access to farms and goods. It educates visitors about agriculture, land conservation, and rural lifeways. And it celebrates the rural landscape and supports cultural tourism in a remote corner of Buncombe County. The Farm Heritage Trail was awarded a Griffin in the education category this year. I've also noticed that the Sandy Mush Community Center has a line item on your budget, hopefully for consideration, that you may be a good steward of that historic property as well, out in our little piece of heaven in the county. There's an often published statement that, quote unquote, Asheville was all boarded up in the 1980s. This was a misconception that the North Carolina collection at Pack Memorial Public Library wanted to dispel by taking a close look at just exactly what was going on at that time. When did Asheville's Renaissance begin? This 6-part series that attracted over 1,000 people was also awarded a Griffin Award in the education category for 2017. And I know Drew, our Register of Deeds, very well, and I'm certain that he's going to be very proud to have this hanging in 205 College Street. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much. And I would, for folks who haven't been over to the new Register of Deeds, I just encourage folks to go over there. It really is, it's a beautiful historic building, and it's been, the reutilization of it as our new Register of Deeds has been done beautifully. I know that a lot of the folks in the Register of Deeds were very nervous when they were going to relocate, and but it's turned out terrific, and I really want to commend Dr. Green and her staff and the architects who worked on it and everyone who had a role in it, and of course our Register of Deeds as well, and in working together. So it's a great project, and it's a beautiful asset for Buncombe County. So, and thank you for the recognition. We really appreciate it. Next up on the agenda is an update from the Energy Innovation Task Force. We are not planning to have any vote on this evening, but we'll have an update from the task force. And Sam Rourke will be presenting along with some assists from Jason Walls and Brad Rouse, who are other active members on the task force. And Sam, thank you for being with us, and I know that you've got a presentation too, and I think that'll magically appear on the screen in the next few minutes.
Magic. All right, great. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you this evening. My name is Sam Barquistas. I'm the Executive Director for the WNC Green Building Council, and I'm a resident with my family in Candler in the Upper Humvee Valley area, and I'm also a member of the Energy Innovation Task Force. And there's been so much time and energy put into this effort over the past year that I hope to do it justice tonight and provide this update and recommendations to you. Just a brief overview, the EITF, as we call it, was formed in April 2016 as a collaboration between the City of Asheville, Buncombe County, and Duke Energy. There was a joint resolution to establish this EITF. It has two goals. The long-term goal is to transition the Duke Energy Progress West region to a cleaner, affordable, and smarter energy future rooted in community engagement and collaboration that is mutually beneficial to the community and Duke Energy. We also have a short-term goal, which is avoid or delay the construction of a 190 megawatt natural gas peaker plant planned for 2023. To achieve these goals, the EITF is creating a plan of prioritized strategies that members of the greater community, Duke Energy, and the City of Asheville and Buncombe County should undertake to increase the adoption of energy efficiency and clean energy in the region. So there's four convening entities. The City of Asheville and Buncombe County play the roles of serving as conduits to the community stakeholders, contribute to solution development and implementation of those, and close collaboration with the community, and support community outreach and education. The role of Duke Energy is to provide data and conduct analysis to create baseline and annual targets, support the analytical research needs for work groups, contribute to the solution development and implementation in collaboration with the community, and also support the community education outreach and marketing. We have a nonprofit partner called Rocky Mountain Institute. They are the entity that is leading the design and facilitation of the overall process for the group. They're also supporting us with analytical research needs and with strategy integration too. So the EITF has a potential to be a national model for other communities and utilities. It's a unique thing that's happening right now. It's a partnership like no other really in the country, where the utility and local government and community and business partners are coming together to look at how do we essentially delay and avoid the need for a power plant. This is kind of a unique thing where a utility actually asks the communities for this support. We're also looking at how do we create innovative clean energy solutions to meet the area's growing energy needs. So it offers a unique opportunity to create local targeted clean energy strategies in collaboration with utility, to catalyze the community to reach a tangible goal. Because as you heard tonight, there's a lot of engaged, passionate people in this community that want to work on this, so we're working on with them. And to explore cost-effective win-win strategies and business models that align the customer, the developer, and the utility. Here on your screen is the representatives from the EITF. There's a lot of brilliant, passionate people in here. There's been thousands of hours that have been dedicated to this effort so far. I personally have put in over 150 hours on this. And also related to this, we have about 15 people that serve on the EITF, but there's also about 40 to 50 people that come to each meeting as well. And we have subcommittees that focus on various issues too. So there's a ton of people engaged in this process, and we've been able to collect a lot of their knowledge and information and passion in order to develop these recommendations we're presenting to you tonight. On progress to date, so I'm going to turn it over now to Jason Walls with Duke Energy to talk about Duke Energy's commitments and what they've been able to formulate as part of this process.
Thanks, Sam, and I'm Jason Walls, the district manager with Duke Energy Progress, and I'm going to go through these really quickly. One of the most significant work streams that the company has done to date is we're looking at how we're going to meet and honor our commitments to install at least 15 megawatts of solar energy here in the region, as well as at least 5 megawatts of battery storage technology. we are getting really close to identifying some of our initial sites for that battery storage technology that will likely exceed some of those early figures that we talked about with at least 5 megawatts. So it's going to be a little bit more than that. And so in the coming weeks and months, we hope to be in a position where we can share really some specifics on where some of those will be located in the region. The idea is some of that that investment will allow us to kind of push that power plant out a few years, even as we're getting started and we're working on this work. A couple other things that we're working on, we're working to support the program's working group with greater alignment with our internal energy efficiency and demand side management team, as well as we have engaged the services of the Shelton Group, which is a nationally leading marketing and brand firm that focuses just on energy, sustainability, and environment space, to help us figure out how we connect with our communities to drive energy efficient behaviors. But most importantly, we have kind of renewed our commitment by putting an executive level person in charge of just the Western Carolinas modernization work, which the Energy Innovation Task Force encompasses. Many of you will remember a name, Robert Sipes. Robert was the regional vice president in charge of all company operations here for a number of years. His passion and dedication to Asheville is unmatched in our company, and it's real exciting. He's been here for the last couple of years as our general manager in charge of our poles and wires operation and our distribution operations, as well as the Western Carolinas modernization work. But now he is solely devoted in the vice president of the Western Carolinas modernization effort. And we're real excited that we have that type of leader to really align and bring people together inside of the companies to support this important work.
Great, thank you, Jason. Okay, so now we're going to go through the recommendations that the Energy Innovation Task Force has come up with. Just want to let you know that these recommendations have been vetted and talked about for a long time. There's also the city is looking at these recommendations as well as part of their budget process, and then these recommendations are also going to be supported by the community collaborative entities like nonprofits and business leaders that are part of the Energy Innovation Task Force. So the first one we have is for clean energy improvements for community organizations. So there's many nonprofit organizations such as homeless service providers, child care facilities, and affordable housing entities, and churches and volunteer fire districts that have their own facilities that we'd like to support. Some of these organizations are folks that have contracts with the county, and they will be prioritized during the pilot phase. The funds would be primarily, but not exclusively, focused on energy efficiency upgrades that have a 5-year or less payback for those projects. And the good thing is, by reducing utility costs, community organizations become more financially self-sufficient, and they become less dependent on taxpayer funding or other outside donors. So this is a real investment in their facilities and helping them reduce their energy costs. The second recommendation we have is to support expanded weatherization for low-income households. So high utility costs hurt low-income families the most. Helping low-income families improve the efficiency of their homes helps them save money while also achieving clean energy goals. And there's volunteer-based efforts such as the Energy Savers Network make a difference. And these models can really be scaled up to help more families and to achieve the broader energy goals. And I just want to turn to Brad Rouse with the Energy Savers Network just for a few minutes to talk about their program and how they're helping low-income families.
Thanks, Sam. So we've heard a lot tonight about helping the poor, and we've heard a lot about people heavily involved in doing that, and we've also heard a lot of concern from the audience about the climate and the climate crisis. And I want to say that low-income energy efficiency, especially the volunteer-based program like where we're trying to get started with Energy Savers Network, is a way to do both of those with the same dollar. So you kill two birds with one stone. You help the poor, you help the goals of the EITF, and you help the energy efficiency and the climate. The volunteer program, I think, makes a whole lot of sense. It just has so many values. I mean, we have a tremendous, as you can see, a tremendous volunteer sort of spirit in the community. Between MANA and Habitat, you have over 120,000 hours a year of volunteer effort focused on this problem of helping lower income people. And with, we're proposing a way to leverage that, a way to spring that, and so the funding would allow us to sort of build into that. So far, everything that I've been doing now, working on 40 homes this year in Buncombe County is completely volunteer and completely donor-based, and so we can't really get it at scale without more support than what we've got. But the need, you know, the numbers of this are very profound. You know, we look at efforts when you're just looking at the cost of supplies, even a 1-year payback, with, if you cost it out the volunteer work, maybe a 3-year payback or a 2-year payback in terms of impact. And then those benefits keep going to the people that we serve for year after year after year. But it's not just the money, it's just not just the numbers, it's the people. And, you know, so far, I mean, it's really, there's just a huge need. I mean, working with a woman tomorrow in Asheville who, in her house, there's a number of problems we're going to try to work on, but the front door is falling off. And so that's an energy efficiency problem as well as a door problem. We worked in a mobile home in Arden not too long ago, and the resident there, a senior person, she was a widow, she didn't know how her heat pump worked, and so the way she had it set, it was on emergency heat way too much, and so we helped coach her on how to solve that problem. There was an older man in Asheville, African-American man in Asheville that we worked with earlier on this year, and his heat duct was disconnected from his heating system in the basement at one critical point, and we were able to patch that together just using do-it-yourself volunteer labor. So we identified that problem and we fixed it. It didn't cost much, but we had to be there, we had to have the organization, and we had to see it. There was a man out in Sandy Mush that called us, called ABCCM, and they referred him to us, and he had a $900 utility bill, and he was going to try to get that paid for by one of these charities, but you know, he didn't know why he had it. We went out and we figured out the problem, and we recommended that he talk to some community action to really fix that problem of the $900 heating bill for 2 months, in the winter, and it wasn't even that cold of winter. You know, we worked with a woman in Emma a couple of weeks ago, a single mom, child at home, and she had some friends that moved the dryer from one place to another. And we did a lot on her house. We fixed windows, we insulated part of the attic. We did a lot of work there. But you know, her friends had moved her dryer to a different part of the room, and then we said, well, let's find the dryer vent. And we looked around and found two dryer vents, and so we said, well, which one is the real one and which one is not the real one? Then we realized that behind the little board, there was a hole in the wall from the old dryer vent, which is a source of energy infiltration, and so we repaired that for her. And that's the kind of thing that, with a low-income program, volunteer-based, that we can do. So I just wanted to share some of that with the members and say I think we've got some good proposals here.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, there's you know, many families in this community that receive federal dollars through the state and through the county to help with home heating assistance, and many of those dollars, you know, are paid, and then, you know, if they're not energy efficient homes, then that basically that money leaks right out the windows. Number 3 is to encourage greater use of energy efficiency practices in new construction. You know, we're rapidly growing as a county, and we cannot mandate utilization of green building practices stronger than the North County Building Code here, but we can encourage them. And so we're requesting the county should offer incentives and permitting processes for more energy efficiency construction and help educate the building community about not only Duke Energy's financial incentives, but also other community types of programs that could help residents be able to solve their problems. And the 4th recommendation is to explore expanded energy efficiency and renewable options for public facilities. The EITF supports your efforts to current energy efficiency improvements for facilities and also the proposed solar farm on the retired county landfill. And in recognition of the increasingly cost-effective renewable technologies, we also encourage the county to explore expanded installations of renewable energy systems on public properties and facilities, including schools and throughout the community. And how do we pay for this? Well, we have a suggestion to create a Buncombe County Clean Energy Fund to provide resources to advance its energy goals, and basically to avoid the need for a power plant and to transition Buncombe County to a clean energy future. The fund will basically leverage utility incentives that are available and provide energy audits for local businesses and organizations, and then help do the energy efficiency improvements for low-income families and community organizations, And this fund could also be used for researching models for expanded energy efficiency and renewable energy in Buncombe County as well. Here are the budget recommendations that we have. The volunteer-based low-income residential weatherization program, about $35,000 for that. We would also be hoping to get funds from other sources as well to leverage that money. There's a request for $50,000 to support RMI and their facilitation efforts. The city's also chipping in that much money to support this process. We're not asking for any money right now for community engagement, but that's based on the recommendation of the Shelton Group. $25,000 to encourage green buildings through the permit process. This also includes education for the community and staff. Community energy audits, $50,000 to pay for the cost of the audits to the community organizations. And then the Clean Energy Fund will be $400,000. And then this is really the bulk of the money to help pay for these energy efficiency improvements for non-income families and for community organizations. And will also help to support the staff of residential income, programs like Community Action Opportunities, and research additional energy efficiency and renewable energy opportunities for Buncombe County as well. With this, basically this is an investment in the economy and in the community and in the environment. The money that you'll spend will multiply many-fold to help support these organizations and these families, and also to help delay and avoid that peaker plant that we so desperately need to do. So that is pretty much our recommendations, and we greatly appreciate this opportunity to speak with you today.
Great, thanks Sam and Jason. So thanks for the update. And any questions at this time? We've got a lot of other presentations on budget-related matters that the manager will present later. But any questions at this time?
Thank you so much. This is for all the incredible work in the presentation. Were the priority areas that you listed ranked in order of, or have you all ranked the priorities?
We haven't ranked the priorities.
Okay.
These are just essentially all recommendations that we feel are necessary to meet our goals.
Okay.
Can you bring the previous slide back up?
Not sure.
Maybe not, but that's okay if you can't bring it up. So my question is similar to Commissioner Farr's question. My concerns are reaching those who are struggling. I share the vision of those that are out there that are struggling with their heating and power bills. Not 100% sure that this is the answer. Could be part of it. I know that Duke's Power over years, and I don't know what you do now, but it has had assistance programs for people upgrading heat pumps and such as that. And that need is great. There needs to be more research, in my opinion, associated with that part. It can return a lot of money personally to the families that are having $400 power bills and $500 power bills and $600 power bills in homes that are 1,100 square feet or less. And that would be my challenge. And there's a lot of homes like that in Buncombe County. Some are older stick built, some are older manufactured homes. Both have that $400 a month. You cut it to $100 with a new heat pump or something like that, which can be done. You're talking about a major impact. Again, I'm not sure that this is the way to go about it, but that's where the need is great. For me, we approved and I supported the LED lights in the schools. I think it's a great thing to do. It was part of the solution. If that school had a horrible problem with its power bill and the source of its heating and the windows and so on, it would have been not a wise decision for me to load it up with LED lights if I didn't address those other things. So that's kind of where my mind is going with the people that live out in Sandy Mush and some of the other places that maybe, and everywhere across the county, not just there. I said that because you mentioned them, but it is putting a lot of strain on the power systems in some smaller homes. So that's kind of where my thought went when I looked at your list and where my priorities might be, and I would challenge you to look at that. That needs to be part of the solution, I think.
Any other comments at this time? Go ahead.
Okay. I look at this in two different forms. We have tons of people in the county right now, including the county, that are helping people with their properties to get them up to try to help with energy. Duke Power brought this forward and set up a task force to try to help with a plant. Now we're talking about $500,000 of the taxpayers' money. Well, how am I going to tell the taxpayer that's in my age, or maybe a little older, that lives in a home, that goes down here to the tax office after we have to go up on their property tax to cover this for whoever you want to cover it for, or to think you want to cover it for, because you don't have a plan, you just have an idea. And they're having to make payments on their property tax. 2,500 of them are. I see the Sierra Club's got 5,000 people, as she says, part of the Sierra Club. Well, to come up with that kind of money, you just need $100 from each one of them. So this ought to be, it's not the county's responsibility to back up Duke Energy. Duke Energy has a project that they thought about doing, and they asked a few people to come into it. That's good. I think it's very good. But I don't think that we should be the ones that's a culprit that has to stand up, the city and the county, for something that we don't know if it's going to work or not work. We're all sitting under lights right now. If it wasn't for gas and coal right now, we wouldn't be sitting under lights. And we're not going to be sitting under lights if you think it's all going to be solar or energies or batteries or whatever. Batteries in cars go bad. It costs money to get rid of them. Solar panels are going to go bad sooner or later, and it's going to cost a ton of money to get rid of them. Power plants are going to go bad, and it's cost a ton of money to get rid of them. So me personally, I think you need to go back and research what y'all would like to do as a group of people, not as coming to us and telling us what we need to do. We're up here to supposedly lead. We're not up here to supposedly follow. And I look at 7 people up there that need to be leading. And I don't need to be following any group of any sort. I work for 253,000 people in this county. And there's definitely not that many people in this room. But I'm working for the ones that physically cannot afford to pay their property tax all the time. They've been here all their life. We keep going up on them. And as I said, there's over 2,500 elderly people that are having to go in the tax office and make payments on the property tax, and their homes are paid for. So I'm totally against this. Thank you.
Let's make one brief comment. So, I we appreciate you guys being here. Of course, I've been representing the county on the board as well. And I just would reiterate that this is part of the reason I wanted some other folks to update tonight is because I kind of feel like you guys kind of hear me talking about this stuff all the time. I'm probably sick of hearing it from me. So, but as we hear from these folks and some of the other people who are with us tonight, there's really strong support in the community for I think making this trying to make a difference in this area. And I think part of what I like about the recommendations that have emerged that are being recommended back to the county is that they're making recommendations to us to try to address some things that we're really already involved in. We've heard from a lot of great organizations tonight about their organizations and programs and things they're doing. All these different organizations, they all work out of some building somewhere. They all have to pay a power bill every month, and they get direct taxpayer funding from us to carry out their mission. So, just like the LED project in the schools, great environmental project, great carbon footprint project, but it's going to save the county school system $1 million a year. It has a 3.5-year payback. I mean, So we'd be financially foolish to not take advantage of those kind of opportunities on our own public buildings. For these other organizations that are receiving direct taxpayer funding, we'd also be foolish not to help them lower their utility costs, just like we are with the schools, because then they're going to be more financially self-sufficient, less reliant on us. And in this community, in terms of the low-income folks and their homes, we spend $2 million a year of taxpayer money to provide heating assistance to poor people in Buncombe County, mostly in the wintertime, so that they don't literally freeze during the coldest days of winter. And because we believe people should not be miserable just because they're poor. It's true, most of that money is mostly state and federal funding that passes through us, but it's still taxpayer money nonetheless. So in the same way, I think there's really strong financial arguments for us trying to make a difference here, as well as great opportunities on the clean energy goals. So thank you guys for the update. That's all I've got for now.
Yeah, I'd just like to chime in and beyond expressing my appreciation, pick up on some of what you said, Brownie. I'm very supportive of this and appreciative of the task force recommendations. I think the challenge that I and my colleagues face is balancing this with other pressing priorities and a tax rate that we're trying to keep as low as we can. But it's very exciting to see this list of priorities enumerated and to see the vision behind it. And I'm fully supportive of us moving forward with this plan and figuring out a timeline around which we could do that, given some of the budgetary constraints we have. But just applaud what y'all are doing and the vision behind it and the compassion. In addition to the financial arguments for this, I know as a person of the faith community, I know there's incredible strong support from faith communities across Buncombe County to be engaging on these issues. Just appreciate what y'all are doing. Thanks.
I too support what you're doing, but I'd like to ask a question. The organizations like HelpMate and other organizations who are working to help people with, well, not HelpMate, Habitat and so on, who work to help with, repair houses and to make them energy efficient, are they represented at the table on this task force?
There are nonprofits. Habitat hasn't been participating at the task force, and we have had a conversation with them to try to get them to start doing energy efficiency upgrades, because that's not really their focus so much. But they have, we have been in conversation with them about housing opportunities as well. Community Action Opportunities is the main nonprofit entity that does a lot of the work in the community, and they are on the task force. We have also had meetings with like Evelyn Charities and other groups that have a direct connection with families that need support. And there's a long list of families that need this kind of support. We already know that are waiting for it. And we have been inviting and basically touching base with as many nonprofits as possible that are in service in the community.
So let me chime back in real quick on again, I want to challenge the goal question is, prioritization is a really big deal. There's a lot of, you mentioned Evelyn, there's a lot of people like Evelyn and others that make a phone call to them, and they're going to try to make sure that person's heat's secure. And so there's going to need to be a lot of thought around this.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great models that already exist in the country, and I've worked on other energy efficiency programs, so we kind of know what the model can be. We just have to need the resources and the time and energy to make it happen.
Yeah, and I would also just add, I really encourage that we have a lot on the agenda tonight. We've got to keep this pretty focused. The programs working group of this task force has done an incredible amount of research. They could give us a 2-hour version of what we've just heard. This is not the product of it. This is a very high level overview of much more detailed analysis and kind of program ideas that they've done some work on. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they've done their work. We have one person sitting in this room back here. His name is Craig Israel. He's been working for a long time in the county, making sure that we save energy and help the carbon footprint and bringing it down. And why are we trying to tell the county more of what they need to do when people come in here from I was on the board here, and I think he might have been Brownie, when people had basically, David Gant said people came in here from Charlotte to tell us how we could save energy. They told them they learned from him. So, you know, we don't need a whole parcel of people telling us what we need to do. I have a house that's 27 years old, and it's energy efficient. It was a long time ago, and it still is today. Still got the same heat pumps in it. And when you have a light bill that's under $300, I think you're doing pretty good. And it's 3,800 square feet with 3 heat pumps. So it goes back to the same thing. We are in here trying to decide that we put a little task force together that's supposedly going to be able to do something, but we're not sure exactly because nobody knows the true effort of it. It is, we can save lights by turning them off. That's no big deal. But I can't see the county as we have to go forward tonight with the budget, getting ready for next week, how we're going to be able to accomplish what we're trying to do here and be able to do that too for the people. We got to work for the people. We don't, you know, there may be a few people in the county that like it. Sure, I like it, but that don't mean that I have to say that, okay, I'm in love with it. That's the facts, Mr. Newman. The facts are people here know how to save energy. And we don't need to tell our people in the county what they need to do, especially working here that saved for many years.
Mr. Presley, you have a comment.
Yeah, I just want to echo Commissioner Belcher there. I think it's great, but and for the last 2 weeks, this budget has been very, very tough. And with tax increase, and we're trying to work on it, I've got to agree that right now, I think we need to put it on hold right now and investigate it more.
Hey, we got you. Hold on. Let me turn you on. Now, you're on.
Oh, great. I couldn't quite hear. Is there a list of prioritization with this so that first priority, or, you know, maybe it wouldn't have to be done, you know, could be done in 2 years instead of 1 year? I'm just trying to think of, I didn't hear the answer to that question.
Yeah, there's a presentation that we just, they just walked through, Ellen, so that'll be on the county's website, so you can look at that. There's a list of, with the breakout of the funding, and Sam mentioned earlier, there's not a specific, like it's not ranked from top priority to lowest priority, it's just, these are the recommendations, so that's where we're at, that's what's been presented tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't, when Jasmine asked that question, I didn't hear the answer, but I saw the breakout. Yeah, that was good. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, no problem.
And I know it's late, but, you know, my suggestions is that prioritization be very clear and more detailed than what we saw tonight. So that would be very helpful as we try to look at this and make, you know, good, clear decisions. So, I'm done.
All right, thanks everyone for your comments. Thanks for being here tonight, guys. All right, the next item on the agenda for the zoning ordinance text amendments, and Debbie Trumpy will present the amendment.
But very patient, Debbie Trumpy.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the proposed amendments to the text of the zoning ordinance that you're hearing tonight are to encourage conservation subdivisions, to add standards for impound lots and tow yards, and to correct a reference to general statutes. Specifically, the following changes are proposed. Definitions for conservation development subdivision and motor vehicles impoundment lot or tow yard are added, and the definition of junkyard is amended to exclude impoundment lots. The statutory vested rights provision section is revised just to correct a reference to North Carolina general statute. The permitted use table is modified to add conservation development subdivisions and to add motor vehicle impoundment lots or tow yard. The dimensional requirements section is modified to add conservation development subdivisions to the type of development that are allowed a reduction in minimum lot size and setbacks. The steep slope high elevation overlay permitted use table is modified to add conservation development subdivisions. Steep slope high elevation overlay district lot size standards are modified to allow the reduction of minimum lot size for conservation development subdivisions. And a new section titled Uses by Right Subject to Special Requirements of Motor Vehicle Impoundment Lots and Tow Yards is added to establish standards for impound lots and tow yards. It would require that motor vehicle storage areas be enclosed by a security fence, and then a row of buffer evergreen trees be planted on the outside of that fence. The Planning Department recommends approval of the proposed amendments as they are consistent with the comprehensive land use plan. The 2013 update recommends the establishment of land use regulations which allow for a flexible range of development options and the expansion of land use policies and regulations to adjust for changes in land use patterns and demands. The Planning Board held a public hearing on these proposed zoning ordinance amendments on April 17th of this year, and there was no public comment. The Planning Board found that the amendments were consistent with the land use plan, reasonable, and in the public interest, and recommends approval in a vote of 9-0. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have for me at this time.
All right. We need to do a public hearing on this. Let's open the public hearing at 8:17. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment on the proposed text amendment? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 8:18. Are there any questions or motion on the text amendment?
Make a motion that we approve and find that the request is consistent with the county comprehensive land use plan, reasonable, and in public interest.
I second the motion.
Further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 We got you.
The next item is a public hearing on the Land Development Subdivision Ordinance, Chapter 70 amendments.
The proposed amendment to the text of the Land Development and Subdivision Ordinance is simply to ensure that hillside cluster development lots are adequate for a typical home and wastewater system. The following addition is proposed to the section on hillside development standards, cluster development. Cluster developments that utilize septic systems for wastewater treatment shall include, as part of their soils investigation report required by Section 7040, the conclusion that the amount of disturbance allowed on each individual lot is adequate for, at a minimum, a 3-bedroom septic system and the construction of a 1,500 square foot single-family home. Planning Board held a public hearing on this amendment on April 17th as well, and there was no public comment. And the Planning Board recommended approval in a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. I will open the public hearing on the proposed text amendment at 8:19. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment? Mr. Yellen.
Question for the board, and you won't answer, you can't, because it's a technical question, but I think you need to consider what I'm saying. As you pass these ordinances, I remember a long time ago, people talked about how that you were going to end up having to make decisions on individual lots if somebody's not happy with what happens in planning and zoning. So the bottom line is, are you going to do an overlay of your rules and regulations and that impact on property values? I think you need to think about what I'm saying. Because when you start saying, okay, one house, and it's got to be this size, and so forth, you are impacting the value of that lot. Especially if it's a community where all the houses are 1,500. So, you know, you're going to have to look at the neighboring lots and create an overlay on your taxes that will reflect that. And I would like to put that through to you as a suggestion for somebody on this board to push for that, because I think it's very, very important. Because I have a situation right now where Charter is refusing to even tell me what it would cost to run a cable line to my house. I can't get anybody a charter. That's impacting the value of my rental house. Because anybody today that wants to do high-speed internet work, and so these type of things you're gonna have to start considering in your overlay for your taxes, okay? Just wanted to pass that along to you, and I'd like to have that recorded in the public hearing.
Thank you. Close the public hearing at 8:21. Is there, are there questions or a motion on the amendment?
No question, or just a comment. Could you just, for the record, explain what a cluster development is for the public?
Cluster development is where there are smaller lots so that more of the parent tract can be set aside as open space. So the intent of this is not to require everyone to have a 1,500 square foot home, but there are density bonuses for things like reduced disturbance on in the tract. So what we're doing is try to ensure that the developer, in his eagerness to get density bonuses, actually does provide a lot that's viable, and it could have a typical home with a 3-bedroom wastewater treatment.
Thanks.
All right. Someone like to make a motion?
So I'll make a motion, since I have the language here in front of me, make a motion to approve, find the request is consistent with county comprehensive land use plan, reasonable, and in the public interest.
There's a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. The next item on the agenda is the public hearing on the FY18 county budget. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Longley.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, wanted to just give a brief overview of where we are and where we started the process. But I want to take just a moment. I've had the privilege today of having lunch with the Firefighters Association and with management team this morning. And maybe it's just a reflective time, but I looked around the room and I really feel very blessed to be associated with such dedicated public servants. And I think our citizens are very fortunate that we have people who really want to serve them so well. And so for that, I'm very grateful. Just to revisit for a moment where we were in May, we brought you a budget of $419,289,000, which was a $7.2 million increase in the general fund budget. These are the main numbers, and we continue to work on this budget. It is a rebound year. In 2017, we had a 60.4 cent tax rate, revenue neutral, calculates at 51.3 cents. The budget that I brought you was developed using a 55.9 cent tax rate. I will say, I've heard very clearly we need to bring that rate on down, and we continue to work at doing that, and thank you for each of you working with me as we try to do that. Just to visit, if you look at our revenues, the percentages on them are pretty consistent, with property tax being our largest revenue source, followed by intergovernmental revenue and sales tax. If you look at our spending plan, the larger expenditures are education, public safety, and human services. That's consistent from year to year. There are core services. The things that we do have included in the budget, we will be finishing our Cox Avenue facility and the parking deck there. Have to pick up the debt service on that. We've got some state requirements related to NC Fast and retirement increases for our employee, and just utilities for our parking deck. We do have some debt service for capital. We took that one out, excuse me. We are still, let me back this up a little bit. We are still looking at some expenses related to public safety, economic development, energy and court requests, and trying to determine what kind of changes we need to make in our budget. Our budget at this time will increase for some of those. We also received our request from the city schools, county schools, and AB Tech, and that represents requests that are up by $7.2 million. We're working with those agencies, and we'll be meeting with them to determine what we actually can do with our budget there. The other thing I would point out is we do set several tax rates, and that includes our fire districts and our city school tax. Most of those are asking to hold their rate, and I think they have visited with most of your district. We do look forward to hearing from the public tonight, to get their thoughts and their advice and feedback on the budget as it was presented, and hopefully this helps them know there's still things we're having to consider. We will be back 2 weeks from tonight and have to adopt a budget. Several things that we do hope to have come to some kind of closure is the state budget. That'll help us look at our education budgets, and right now there's a few things happening, but we will wait for the House and the Senate to get together and come back with a budget that we can see how, take a really close look at how it impacts us. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, and looking forward to hearing from the public.
Thank you very much. So why don't we open the public hearing? There's been a lot of comments on the budget during the opening public comment. But I'm going to open the public hearing on the FY18 county budget. After we take any additional public comment, then we'll bring it back to the commission. Okay, all right, I'm going to open the public hearing at 8:27. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment this evening? Mr. Peasley. And then Mr. Dalton, you ready to be next?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Commission, for your patience tonight, giving us the opportunity to speak. I'm Tracy Elliott. I live in beautiful Shiloh, and I'm the Executive Director of the Asheville Humane Society. I'm here for two reasons tonight. One is to thank you and your predecessors of the county staff for an amazing 27-year partnership between Asheville Humane Society and the Buncombe County Animal Shelter. I'm also here to ask that you take care that the proposal that we put in front of you, thank you very much for your open-minded reception of that proposal, is fully funded. We're not able to tell from the budget documents available to us whether or not that is the case. It appears that it is not, and we would hope that you would seek that answer for us. As you know, this partnership in the last 27 years has achieved amazing things. We now save the lives of every single adoptable animal who comes into the county shelter. That goal was set by this commission in 2006, and we met the goal 2 years early. Another way to put that is our euthanasia rate for healthy and rehabilitatable animals in Buncombe County is 0. At an international conference in Toronto just last week, Asheville Humane Society and the Buncombe County Animal Shelter were named one of the top 30 of the 5,000 animal shelters in the United States. Just last week, also, the Executive Vice President of the ASPCA said that our community outreach program, which we talked to you about when we met with you, is one of the top 5 in the country. In 2016, we assisted 9,250 animals. 4,100 of those were in low-income families in low-income neighborhoods that we are working in, such as Emma and Deaverview. Our first targeted neighborhood was Emma. We assisted over 900 families in that neighborhood in the first 12 months. One of our strongest partners there is Jeremy Stowe, the principal of Emma Elementary. He told us and said publicly at one of our events that the best moment a child of his or one of his students may have in his day or her day is when they go home and they greet their animal and get the unconditional love and the stable love that an animal provides in a family. We're very pleased to be doing that. These particular programs are funded by private funds, but we leverage every public dollar that we get from you by about $2.20. Plus, we also bring in $1 million of labor equivalency cost that is donated by our huge volunteer force. We also supplement basic shelter services by about $200,000 a year. As an example, we purchased a $40,000 transport vehicle to have 1,000 animals leave the shelter every year and go to northern shelters. We cannot continue to do this. We need our basic shelter services funded by you, if that is all possible. Thank you very much for your time and your consideration, and thank you for this partnership.
Thank you.
Well, I've got positive news for you all at this point in time. How about that? You can solve all the problems in the world. You can take care of all the energy problems. You can take care of all the animal control problems. You can take care of all of the problems of putting people to work. insulating houses and everything if you put the money behind it. The only problem is, where does that money come from? So I'd like to propose some solutions. I think there's some solutions that are unhidden. You know, they're hidden here and you don't look at them. I've heard a lot tonight about coordination. I know this county has a contract with United Way for over $100,000 to refer people to where they can get help. Well, very obviously, based on what we've heard tonight with all these help agencies giving help, United Way is doing a lousy job. You're getting a bad deal on your $100,000 over there. Now, the other thing is, as you look at this, these nonprofits are supposed to be nonprofit. I can start a nonprofit if you'll give me enough money to fund it, and then I can pay me a salary out of it. So you are creating jobs when you do that, but that money comes from somebody else. So why don't you put these things under an umbrella? Look at it. You can't do that this year, Brady. It's going to be too hard. But look at putting them under an umbrella to where people in the county that's having a hard time paying their electric bill can go donate time and get some credit for it. If they're going to get $200,000 in heat credit, how many of them can work in some of these agencies? And let them receive a reward for their effort. We all know you feel better when you work for it rather than get it given to you. And the reason I say that is I ran an ad for somebody to do some work on my farm. Out of 4 people that I interviewed, 3 said, you pay me under the table and I'll work for you. And I laughed at him. I said, I'm already paying your $1,000 a month food stamps and your rent subsidy. So no, I'm not going to let you get cash and pay you under the table because I need the tax write-off too because I'm trying to have affordable renting. And so to keep my taxes down, I think you need to look creatively at some of these solutions that are outside the box that you're not going to hear from the agencies that want the money, and you're not going to hear it from your staff. And because you're sitting up there considering who you're going to hurt with each vote, you may not even think of them. So release those chains on your brain and figure out how you would do it if it was your $419 million, okay?
Thank you. Mr. Rice? You'll be next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. You ain't wore me out yet. We can still go to midnight if you like. Well, your budget's increased 10% a year for the last 10 years. Gotta repeat it. Sometimes it's old, can't remember, so I'm gonna repeat it. That's a lot of money. Budget jumped from 24 million in 2 years. I believe the 24 million jump was an intentional effect on the tax rate for the upcoming 2017 reevaluation. I believe this board should unanimously make sure that you preserve the integrity and the taxpayer money and vote unanimously. I can't even say that. All of you then, okay? For a 50-cent tax rate. Go down if you have to, even more. I believe there was an inflated appeal loss added into the budget. Just remind you commissioners, there's $12 million sitting over to the school board in a fund balance that you have control of, and you ought to take priority in it, using it for the tax rate. If the kids are leaving Buncombe County School, my God, get the money and use it for us taxpayers. You have a $75 million fund balance. Now keep adding these numbers I'm giving you. We're having a hearing today on the 2018 budget. It's amazing. We ain't got all the budget yet. I don't know what comments I might be able to make after you give me all of it. I thought you told me, Brownie, that you were going to let me get all that when you got it. You ain't got it yet. We're having a public hearing today. The taxpayers need some relief. Did you hear that? Now, we've heard a lot of gimme, gimme, gimme. We hear it every word, every year. But I'm gonna give you an old song to remember as we leave here tonight. She got the gold mine and I got the shaft. Did you hear that? You just sing that old song and you'll understand what it means when you get screwed. The taxpayers just got screwed if you don't vote unanimously to bring it down to 50 cents. I'm not taking that back. You need to listen to you. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir, come up, please.
Hi, my name is Roy Harrison. A few minutes ago, maybe an hour ago, I was honored as a senior champion. And I think I've followed those two fellows before. And they've been around a while, but what I'm here to, and I don't know all the budget numbers that you're talking about tonight, but I do have a concern. And the concern I have is that I'm retired. Having worked 40-some years in engineering and technician type jobs here, and 34 of them here in Buncombe County. I may be one of the few people that paid a mortgage off. But now, as it comes before me now, I'm like, okay, am I gonna stay in Buncombe County? That is one of the questions I'm starting to ask myself. One of them is, can I afford to stay in Buncombe County? As I look at the rest of my career, I say this is 1/3 of my career, 2/3 is gone, and the next